Welcome to the Fantasy Audiobook. I'm a Saiyan and you're saying that I don't have any bloodline limits. Chapter 21. Third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen and Orochimaru were 5 meters apart, standing opposite each other. Although the aura on their bodies was cold, their expressions were a little complicated. Facing this apprentice whom he was once most optimistic about, Third Hokage had mixed emotions. Everyone felt a little more at ease as they watched the Third Hokage appear. Deep down in their hearts, they were also worried that Orochimaru would jump over the wall and kill them. No matter what, Orochimaru will always be one of the legendary Sannin. Maybe he really couldn't kill Mark, but if he wanted to kill them, it was more than enough. The other genin who took the Chunin exam also arrived one after another. Among them, several genin from the Sound Ninja village looked serious and had no idea what they were thinking in their minds. However, what can be seen is that all of them have brought their strength to the best state and seem to be ready to fight at any time. Several ninjas from the Sound Ninja village secretly gave Gaara and the others a look, and Gaara and the others understood. Before coming to take the Chunin exam, they received an order from Kazekage of Sunagakure village to cooperate with the Sound Ninja village to destroy Konoha. All over the country, Saiyan village has thousands of miles of yellow sand all year round, and the environment is extremely harsh. The Konoha village is extremely rich in various resources. The benefits of them attacking Konoha together with the Sound Ninja village are obvious. Gaara's group and several people from the Sound Ninja village looked at each other, waiting for Orochimaru to express his stance. As long as Orochimaru expresses his stance, they will immediately carry out actions to destroy Konoha. Temari and Kankuro felt a little nervous and had a slight cold sweat on their foreheads. They didn't know whether Sunagakure village's choice this time was right or wrong. After all, there is a very serious problem in front of them now, that is, they did not calculate the variable of Yifan at all. So far, the strength Yifan has shown is already a stable film-level strength. Kabuto Yakushi mingled among the Konoha ninjas, always prepared. As soon as Orochimaru makes a move, he will immediately start to cooperate. The third Hokage was silent for a while and then slowly said, "Orochimaru, you still have some conscience and let the snakes leave. Otherwise, the entire death forest will cease to exist." Thinking of this, Sarutobi Hiruzen felt a little relieved. Deep in his heart, he still felt that Orochimaru was not bad to the core, and he still had some feelings for Konoha. Orochimaru was a little confused for a moment when he heard this, and then burst into laughter. "Sarutobi-sensei, you are still as naive as before, this really hasn't changed at all." Third Hokage frowned and instantly felt something was wrong. Did he put the snakes somewhere else? Village. The first thought in Third Hokage's mind was that he had fallen into a trap to lure the tiger away from the mountain. Hurry up to the village and notify various departments and be prepared. Wan Shi is very likely to have entered the village. The third Hokage pointed at a group of Anbu and his tone became very solemn. If 10,000 snakes enter the village without any precautions, it will definitely cause very serious consequences. The Anbu team received the order and immediately prepared to rush back, but were interrupted by Xiao Li's voice. "Wait a minute, Lord Hokage, the snake was not released into the village by Orochimaru, it was killed by Yifan." As soon as these words came out, the whole place was in an uproar. In an instant, everyone's eyes fell on Mark. "It's impossible. That chakra is so powerful that I feel extremely oppressive from afar. How could I be killed by a loser who has no blood inheritance limit and can only practice physical arts? This guy in old-fashioned green clothes is not crazy, is he? He doesn't even know how to draft a draft when he's bragging. Wan Shi is an extremely powerful psychic beast with all kinds of incredible abilities. How could he be killed by a kid who is not even genin?" There were sneers from the crowd. They didn't believe that Mark could do such a thing. They even regarded Xiao Li, who said this, as a lunatic who was talking nonsense. Yakushi Kabuto kept shaking his head, with a hint of disdain on his face. Wan Shi is one of the 5 most powerful psychic beasts in Longdi Cave, and will never be killed easily. What's more, he didn't feel any particularly big movement. Third Hokage and Anbu also looked at Xiao Li. Judging from their performances, they didn't believe this either. Wan Shi was really punched to pieces by Mark, and they all saw it with their own eyes. Xiao Li quickly explained. Looking at Xiao Li, who was a little embarrassed, Neji stood up and said, Master third generation, Wan Shi was indeed killed by Mark, and he was killed very easily. Sakura and the others also nodded, indicating that Neji was not lying. When the third Hokage saw this, his brows furrowed deeper and deeper, and he looked at Yi Fan extremely seriously. So far, although he still doesn't believe it, the development of the situation seems to make him have to believe it. If one person says it, it may be false, but if a group of people say it, it is probably true. Yes, it was indeed killed by Uchiha Yi Fan. Yi Fan is not the waste you call him. He is a unique genius in this world. Orochimaru licked his lips, a smile forming on his lips. As soon as these words came out, everyone was shocked and their hearts were extremely shocked. The disdainful smiles on some people's faces gradually disappeared and turned into endless fear. Orochimaru even said it himself, which proves that this matter is indeed true. They also realized that the person they had just mocked was a heaven-defying super strong man. For a time, everyone who had ridiculed Yi Fan was in danger. They were all afraid that Yi Fan would suddenly explode and kill them. Since Yi Fan can easily kill Wan Shi, then wouldn't it be easy to kill them? Everyone stared at Yi Fan and involuntarily took a few steps back, with cold sweat covering their foreheads. Third Hokage was also very surprised and looked at Mark very seriously. At this moment, he finally understood the meaning of what Jiraiya said when he was in the Hokage room. It turns out that Jiraiya dared to say to Danzo that if you have the ability, just come, not because he wanted to protect Yi Fan himself, but because he had absolute confidence in Yi Fan. For a moment, Third Hokage's heart was filled with mixed emotions. Wan Shi was a being that even he had difficulty killing, but was easily killed by Yi Fan. If such a person is hostile to Konoha, it will be a huge threat. Especially when he thought of Yi Fan's parents, this feeling became stronger. Third Hokage cannot guarantee what choice Yi Fan would make if he knew the truth. Thinking of this, the third Hokage sighed and faced Orochimaru again. The most urgent task is to capture Orochimaru first. Orochimaru, should you take the initiative and surrender, or should I do it myself? Haha, Mr. Sarutobi, you think too highly of yourself. You have already run out of gas. Do you think you are still young? HMPH, Orochimaru, you are still so stubborn even now. It seems that I have to do it myself. The third Hokage shouted loudly, used necromancy, and summoned the monkey demon. Orochimaru raised the corners of his mouth and made a look. Among the crowd, 4 people from the Sound Ninja Village ninjas immediately ran out and stood in 4 directions. Orochimaru shouted, surround Yi Fan and the third generation. The 4 people in the Sound Ninja Village nodded in unison and launched the 4 purple flame formation. At the same time, Orochimaru bit his fingertips, quickly formed seals with his hands, and shouted, ninja technique, psychic technique, and reincarnation in the earth. When the 4 people in Sound Ninja Village used the 4 purple flame formation, 4 purple flames appeared out of thin air and rose from the ground. Several Anbu Jonin happened to be standing on the connecting line. Because they had no time to escape, they were torn in half in an instant, and their bodies were still burned by purple flames. Barriers type ninjutsu. The trapped third Hokage frowned and looked solemn. He felt an extremely powerful binding force from this barriers type ninjutsu. When Anbu from the outside saw this, his expression changed drastically. They know that they cannot crush this barriers with just their strength. This means that they can't provide any help to third Hokage at all. But what shocked them even more was yet to come. After Orochimaru performed the earth reincarnation, 3 coffins immediately burst out of the ground in front of them. The 3 coffins are engraved with the words first generation, second generation and fourth generation respectively. Watching the coffin slowly rise, the third Hokage immediately realized what ninjutsu this was. Orochimaru, you actually use this kind of ninjutsu that goes against nature and insults our ancestors. Jiraiya, who was hiding in the woods, also changed his face and shouted hurriedly. Yi Fan, stop Orochimaru quickly, don't let him use this ninjutsu. Everyone's eyes were immediately attracted by the voice. Looking for the voice, a tall and powerful middle-aged man with long white hair appeared in the field of vision. Among the crowd, an Anbu man recognized who it was and shouted excitedly, Jiraiya-sama, come and help us. Jiraiya, could he be one of the legendary Sannin, Jiraiya-sama? The ninjas of Konoha couldn't help but start to get excited. For many years, many people have only heard of his name but never met him. Now, seeing it with my own eyes, it is indeed well deserved. Several people from Sand Hidden Village and Sound Ninja Village looked at the visitor, and their moods were very different. Jiraiya is one of the Sannin as famous as Orochimaru, so you can imagine how strong he is. Yi-fan, why are you still standing there? Hurry up and stop Orochimaru. Seeing that only the third Hokage was alone, Jiraiya was trying to stop Orochimaru and shouted again, his voice filled with anxiety. Everyone saw that the legendary Jiraiya was so nervous, and they all looked into the four purple flame formation. They were very curious about what kind of ninjutsu could make the famous Jiraiya and Konoha's Hokage so nervous. Sarutobi-sensei, please don't waste your efforts. There is no way you can stop this ninjutsu. Orochimaru smiled confidently. The third Hokage ignored Orochimaru and tried his best to prevent the third coffin from rising from the ground. The first two coffins have been completely raised, and there is no point in stopping them. He can only try his best to prevent the third coffin from rising. Jiraiya's shout did not let Mark stop him. Yi-fan still stood motionless, looking at the two coffins seriously. The reason why he wants to capture Orochimaru is because Orochimaru has mastered the forbidden technique of reincarnation. For many years, Yi-fan has been living with guilt. His parents died because of him. Now that he has the ability, Yi-fan plans to temporarily use the dirty soil to reincarnate and resurrect his parents. The moment Orochimaru cast the earth reincarnation, although he did not resurrect his parents, he still had some small expectations. After the third Hokage defeated the 9 bulls and 2 tigers, the third coffin finally slowly returned to the ground. Looking at this scene, the third Hokage breathed a sigh of relief. Orochimaru also felt a little surprised, but didn't think much about it. Among the people present, only Yi-fan knew why the third coffin failed to be summoned. After the 2 coffins were raised, the coffin panels slowly opened, revealing the situation inside. When everyone saw this, they took in a breath of cold air, feeling extremely shocked and at a loss. The 2 people in the coffin are known to everyone in Konoha. They are Konoha's first Hokage Senju Hashirama and Konoha's second Hokage Senju Tobirama. Now we are in trouble. Jiraiya looked gloomy and kept thinking about countermeasures. Even he couldn't defeat barriers in a short time, which worried him very much. He did not blame Yi-fan, nor did he continue to ask Yi-fan why he did not join forces with the third Hokage to stop Orochimaru. He was just worried. At this point, it is useless to say more. He can only break the barriers and support them as quickly as possible. At this moment, a loud noise came, ringing in everyone's ears. Jiraiya and the third Hokage turned around and saw that at the entrance of Konoha village, thick smoke was billowing and there was faintly powerful chakra flowing. For a moment, they all realized that Konoha village was under attack. The third Hokage turned pale, and instantly understood that all of this was arranged by Orochimaru. Jiraiya, hurry up and go to the village to fight against the foreign enemies. Just leave this place to me. I announce that the Chunin exams are temporarily suspended, and all Konoha ninjas are on level 1 alert. 3rd generation, but you. Jiraiya, this is an order from Hokage, go immediately to support the rest of the village. Jiraiya was silent for a second, then turned and rushed towards the village. Yi-fan, protect 3rd generation, I'll be right back. In the blink of an eye, Jiraiya's figure disappeared from everyone's sight. Watching Jiraiya go to support the village, 3rd Hokage felt relieved. Although Jiraiya is usually not in the right shape, he understands that Jiraiya is absolutely reliable at critical moments. Without any worries, 3rd Hokage's eyes fell on the 2 coffins again. Looking at the 2 people who had not seen each other for a long time, 3rd Hokage had tears in his eyes without even realizing it. Shodai, Nadaime, Sarutobi-chan, you have become the 3rd Hokage. This technique is the reincarnation of Dirty Earth. 1st generation and 2nd generation have different moods. Tobirama, I have warned you many times before, not to create some messy ninjutsu at will. It's better now. It will only bring trouble to future generations. Brother, now is not the time to preach. We must first figure out what happened. Shodai, Nadaime, how does it feel to be alive again? Orochimaru walked up to them from behind the coffin with a smile on his face. Sarutobi-sensei, Uchiha Yi-fan, how are you? Is it surprising? This gift was originally intended to be taken out after a while when Konoha is destroyed. But, Uchiha Yi-fan, I have to take it out in advance for you. From the moment he saw Yi-fan kill 10,000 snakes in an instant, Orochimaru had already decided to use this move. For him at the moment, getting Mark's body is the most important thing. Otherwise, he would not have disrupted his pre-planned plan and taken action in advance. What? Destroy Konoha, or for this inherently evil Uchiha brat? Second Hokage was furious and immediately wanted to activate ninjutsu and kill Yi-fan and Orochimaru. Second Hokage Senju Tobirama was about to raise his hand to form a seal, but found that his body could not move no matter what, and there was not a drop of chakra in his body. Ha ha ha, Second Hokage-sama, have you even forgotten the ninjutsu you created? The reincarnated body of dirty soil is completely controlled by the caster. Orochimaru spread his hands and laughed maniacally. HMPH. Second Hokage gritted his teeth, furious but unable to do anything. Orochimaru, Uchiha, haha, Lord Second Hokage, the Uchiha clan is now almost extinct as you wished. But do you think what you have been insisting on is really reasonable? Have you ever thought about this question? In fact, most of the Uchiha clan still loves peace and Konoha. Is there a possibility that the reason why the Uchiha clan threatens Konoha is because you suppressed them too much? Orochimaru talked about it in detail and analyzed it carefully. HMPH. Second Hokage snorted and cursed angrily. Orochimaru, don't talk nice here, the evil Uchiha clan has never loved Konoha. That's enough. Tobirama. The first Hokage stopped sternly and then asked the third Hokage. Sarutobi-chan, was the Uchiha clan really wiped out? Third Hokage was silent for a few seconds and replied, yes Shodai. Now there are only 3 people left in the Uchiha clan, and Yi-fan is one of them. Senju Hashirama sighed deeply when he heard this. He suddenly felt a little heartbroken and a little guilty. It was he who proposed to co-found the village with the Uchiha clan. Unexpectedly, in the end, the Uchiha clan would end up being exterminated. When the second Hokage heard this, the corners of his mouth raised and he was in a happy mood. He had always wanted to destroy the Uchiha clan, but he had never been able to achieve it. Hearing this news now is like receiving an unexpected surprise. Haha, 3 Hokage-samas, please don't dwell on old times. Orochimaru interrupted their conversation. I went through all the trouble to summon you, not just to listen to your family affairs. Shodai, Nadaime, I will destroy the village you fought so hard to protect in your own hands right now. Orochimaru took out 2 kunai with charms and slowly inserted them into the minds of Senju Hashirama and Senju Tobirama. Orochimaru, stop it. If you dare to do this, I will never let you go. Senju Tobirama roared loudly. Senju Hashirama let out a long sigh. He knew that he could not stop Orochimaru now. As long as the kunai is completely inserted into the brain, they will immediately become a walking zombie that will only obey Orochimaru's orders. Yi-fan looked at Senju Hashirama and Senju Tobirama who had completely lost consciousness, and sighed. The first generation of Dirty Earth reincarnation technique was still too crude, and it cannot be compared with the later improved Dirty Earth reincarnation techniques. Yi-fan decided that after capturing Orochimaru, he would give him a taste of 996 blessings and force him to study the reincarnation of Dirty Land every day. After the kunai was completely inserted into the bodies of first generation and second generation, chakra gradually appeared on their bodies, their auras continued to rise, and their strength reached the level of ordinary shadows. Upon seeing this, the third Hokage immediately said, Yi-fan, hold Orochimaru, Shodai and Nadaime to me. Third Hokage thought, since Yi-fan can kill 10,000 snakes, he can definitely hold Orochimaru back. Third generation, I think you should take care of yourself first. Orochimaru used a latent snake hand, conjuring a snake to bite him on the neck. After biting it, Third Hokage's body gradually turned into a puddle of mud. He used his mud clone to avoid the blow. It seems I can't help Mark anymore, I have to deal with Orochimaru first. Third Hokage quickly formed the seal. Earth style, the art of the sea. In an instant, a sea of mud surged under Orochimaru's feet, constantly swallowing his body. At the same time, the third Hokage performs Earth Style, Earth Dragon Bullet Technique, and Fire Style, Fire Dragon Bullet Technique. Ninjutsu with two different attributes kept attacking Orochimaru. Not to be outdone, Orochimaru used the exact same ninjutsu as third Hokage. After the first round of fighting, the two sides fought evenly. Upon seeing this, the third Hokage used the Shuriken Shadow Clone Jutsu, and Orochimaru once again used the exact same ninjutsu to counter it. The two sides once again fought to a close. Haha, Mr. Sarutobi, we should probably stop playing. This is not a ninja school course, Orochimaru said. Third Hokage smiled and said, "That's right." As soon as he finished speaking, the ape demon immediately turned into a wishful stick and fell into the hands of the third Hokage. The third Hokage held the wish-fulfilling stick and waved it towards Orochimaru. Orochimaru raised the corner of his mouth, spit out the Kusanagi sword, and started fighting with the third Hokage. During the clash of swords and sticks, sparks flew everywhere, destroying a large number of flowers, plants and trees. On the other side, Yi Fan is facing the attacks of Senju Hashirama and Senju Tobarama. Wood-style Deep Forest Emergence. Water-style Water Dragon Bullet. Senju Hashirama and Senju Tobarama used ninjutsu at the same time, killing Yi Fan. Suddenly, a large number of tree vines grew on the ground, grabbing at Yi Fan at extremely fast speeds. In the other direction, there is also a huge water dragon, and its target is also Yi Fan. People outside barriers were stunned when they saw this scene. As expected of Master Second Hokage, you can actually release this level of water style in a place where there is no water. They all wanted to see what method Yi Fan would choose to resist. Even though Xiao Li and others witnessed Yi Fan killing Wan Shi with their own eyes, they still couldn't help but become nervous when they saw this scene. There is no way, after all, Senju Hashirama and Senju Tobarama's ninjutsu are too powerful in their opinion. They knew that if they were faced with this level of ninjutsu, there would be absolutely no way to resist it. Almost everyone looked at Mark with bated breath. Countless tree vines and huge water dragons came one after another. Yi Fan looked calm and unhurried. When dozens of tree vines were about to restrain Yi Fan jumped up and smashed them all with 3 punches and 2 kicks. Immediately, he stepped towards the ground again, and a deep ditch immediately appeared on the ground, cutting off Senju Tobarama's water style. After cutting off water style, Yi Fan did not stop his movements and killed Senju Tobarama at an extremely fast speed. After getting close, Yi Fan jumped up and kicked. Senju Tobarama saw this and quickly used water-style water barrier to resist. However, although the water barrier is strong, it cannot withstand Yi Fan's whip legs. In the eyes of ordinary people, the water barrier was indestructible. Like a foam board, it instantly shattered to the ground. At the same time, Senju Tobarama got a solid kick from Mark. Yi Fan was so powerful that he split Senju Tobarama's body in half. When everyone saw this, they all showed frightened eyes. They rubbed their eyes desperately, seriously suspecting that they were hallucinating. How strong does Yi Fan's strength exactly have to be? Master Second Hokage, was he killed just like that? Am I really not dreaming? Is Yi Fan really just a person who practices physical skills? Could it be that Yi Fan's strength is already invincible? Uchiha Yi Fan, is this your true strength? Jiraiya really has a good apprentice. The third Hokage couldn't help but sigh as he watched Yi Fan kick away the water barrier and then kick the second Hokage's body in half. We in Konoha have a successor, and the will of fire will never end. A happy smile appeared on the third Hokage's face. He absolutely believed in the people taught by Jiraiya. Sarutobi-sensei, don't be distracted during the fight. Orochimaru grabbed the flaw and pierced the third Hokage's arm with his sword, causing blood to splash out. After the Kusanagi sword pierced his arm, Orochimaru held the handle of the sword and rotated it in a circle, then pulled it out, drawing out a lot of flesh and blood. The moment the Kusanagi sword was drawn out, third Hokage's right arm immediately lost all feeling. The corners of the third Hokage's mouth twitched, enduring the severe pain, breathing heavily and distanced themselves from Orochimaru. This blow caused the already elderly third Hokage to be seriously injured and lost most of his combat effectiveness. Third Hokage-sama, be careful. Outside the 4 purple flame formation, the tearful Sakura shouted heartbreakingly. But no matter how she shouted, her voice could not pass through the 4 purple flame formation. Boom! The third Hokage's body flew into the air in response to the sound, breaking several thick trees before it could stop. Puff! The third Hokage spat out a mouthful of blood, his eyes filled with disbelief and disbelief. Nadime, wasn't it already killed by Yi Fan? Why? Ha ha ha, Mr. Sarutobi, it seems that there are ninjutsu in this world that a ninja doctor like you doesn't know about. The reincarnated body of the dirty soil is an immortal existence. How could it be killed by Yi Fan? Orochimaru mocked. Sarutobi-sensei, it seems you are really old and no longer useful. While laughing wildly, the latent shadow snake hand ran towards the third Hokage and arrived in front of him in the blink of an eye. The third Hokage dragged his seriously injured body and was able to dodge most of the attacks, but he was still hit by some. Fire-style fire dragon bullet technique. The third Hokage formed a seal with one hand and used fire-style to kill Orochimaru. The corners of Orochimaru's mouth raised, completely ignoring this level of ninjutsu. Poof! Before third generation could react, a sword pierced his thigh again. Boom! The third Hokage, who had very little chakra left, could no longer support his body and fell to the ground. Third generation Sama. The Konoha ninja outside the four purple flame formation looked at this scene, shouted anxiously, and attacked barriers desperately. At this moment, they hated themselves extremely and hated themselves for not being able to help the third Hokage. Third generation Sama, hold on. You must hold on, we will come to rescue you right away. For a time, outside the four purple flame formation, fire style, water style and other ninjutsu kept hitting the barriers, making a huge noise. The ninjas of Konoha all focused on the third Hokage at this time, completely unaware that the body was covered with sand. The first ones to discover this were Neji, who turned on Byakugan, and Sasuke, who turned on Sharingan. Everyone, get out of here! Neji roared and knocked Shaoli and Tiantian away with one palm. Sasuke also took Sakura away from the place filled with sand. The other Jonin in Anbu did not have such good luck. By the time they reacted, they were already unable to escape, and a large amount of sand had completely enveloped them. Sand waterfall funeral. Gaara had an evil smile on his face and clenched his open palm into a fist. In an instant, all the Anbu Jonin were crushed by the sand. The blood gradually soaked the sand from the inside out. The yellow sand now became dripping with blood and looked very oozing. Gaara let out a long sigh of relief, enjoying this feeling very much. For him, killing is a kind of fun and his only source of happiness. It seems that only when killing can he find the feeling of being alive and feel that his life is meaningful. Be careful, Gaara, he is also our enemy. Nechi shouted, and Shaoli and others stood ready. Gaara stared at Shaoli and the others, the aura of killing getting stronger and stronger. When he wanted to start killing again, Tamari forcibly pulled him away. Tamari knew that there were more important tasks waiting for them, and they couldn't waste too much time here. They just need to buy Orochimaru more time, that's enough. All Anbu Jonin were killed by them, and their goal was achieved. Sasuke, you stay here and attack the barriers. On Gaara's side, let's go after him. Nechi said quickly, then quickly caught up with Shaoli and Tiantian. Within the four purple flame formation, the third Hokage was lying on the ground dying. After seeing Gaara kill Anbu Jonin, he realized that this time the Chunin exam was simply a game. Orochimaru united with Sunagakur village to destroy Konoha's plan. The Kusanagi sword was attached to the third Hokage's neck. As long as Orochimaru exerted a slight force, the third Hokage would die immediately. At this point, Orochimaru looked complicated, and 2 lines of tears fell involuntarily from the corners of his eyes. About to kill his former teacher with his own hands, Orochimaru still couldn't bear it. Tears fell on third Hokage's face. Third Hokage felt the warmth of the tears and had mixed feelings in his heart. Scenes from the past gradually came to mind. They seemed to have returned to the summer before, the summer with Jiraiya, Tsunade, and Orochimaru. Orochimaru, in fact, you have not changed. You are still the same Orochimaru. The third Hokage smiled bitterly. Orochimaru looked at the third Hokage lying on the ground, remained silent for a moment, then held a kunai with his tongue and stabbed it into his shoulder. Blood was scattered everywhere, and the severe pain made him feel depressed. Sarutobi-sensei, farewell. Orochimaru laughed maniacally, and suddenly waved the grasshopper sword in his hand, trying to kill the third Hokage with one blow. When the grass pheasant sword was about to cut off the third Hokage's head, Yi Fan's figure appeared and kicked Orochimaru in half. The grass pheasant sword also broke into several sections. Yi Fan stood in front of third Hokage, his expression unwavering, neither happy nor sad. Since Jiraiya asked me to protect you, you will never die in front of me. Looking at Yi Fan's back, third Hokage suddenly felt that he was old. This era no longer belongs to old guys like them. Cough cough cough. Yi Fan, your body is really good enough. In all these years, you have the best health of anyone I have ever seen. Orochimaru slowly crawled out of the mouth of the broken body, and the aura on his body became much weaker. Obviously, Yi Fan's blow caused him to suffer a lot of damage. On the other side, the first generation and second generation, which were broken into pieces by Yi Fan, reunited again and became intact. Wood-style deep forest emergence. Water-style water dragon bullet technique. The newly recovered first generation and second generation immediately launched an attack on Yi Fan. Looking at this level of ninjutsu, Yi Fan felt it was a pity and sighed. Your current strength is probably less than 1/10 of what it was at its peak. To be honest, I really want to see your peak strength. Yi Fan's figure was so fast that no one present could react. When Yi Fan returned to third generation again, first generation and second generation had once again been shattered into pieces. But it was still the same as before, their bodies slowly recovered again. Third Hokage looked at this scene, took a deep look at Mark, and made a decision in his heart. He understood that if he continued like this, they would all die when Mark's strength was exhausted. Now, there is only one way to stop this situation. Yi Fan, if this doesn't work, you block Shodai and Nadime's actions, and leave the rest to me. Also, if possible, please control Orochimaru. I will bury him with my own hands. The third Hokage dragged his seriously injured body and forced himself to stand up. Yi Fan turned to look at third Hokage, frowning. He heard what the third Hokage meant. He was going to use his life to seal away the corpse. Old man, I just said that I will never let you die in front of me. Are you going to use sealing techniques at the cost of your life in the blink of an eye? You're really not giving me any face by doing this. Yi Fan, the chakra I have left can't last much longer. Let's hurry up. Old man, you'd better stay somewhere cool. Yi Fan waved his hand, signaling third Hokage to stay away. In fact, Yi Fan did not have no means to completely kill the first generation and the second generation. Ever since he first shattered the reincarnated body of the Dirty Land, he had felt one thing. The chi in his body can cause harm to the soul. This is also the reason why when Yi Fan fought against first generation and the others, he only used physical strength and did not use chi at all. If he used chi in conjunction with physical strength, he was worried that he would accidentally completely crush the souls of the first Hokage and the second Hokage. If the soul is broken, it is really broken and cannot be resurrected no matter what method is used. Yi Fan, now we only have this way to stop all this. You listen to me and block their actions quickly. Third Hokage thought that Yi Fan cared about him and prevented him from using sealing techniques. If he knew that Mark was actually really impatient, he didn't know what he would think. Who said this is the only way? Do you think Orochimaru is just a decoration? Brother, we've had enough fun, and the farce here should be over. Yi Fan's expression suddenly changed, instantly shattering the bodies of first Hokage and second Hokage. Immediately, he appeared in front of Orochimaru, reaching out and grabbing his neck. The moment his palm landed on his neck, Yi Fan instilled some chi into his fingertips. Orochimaru suddenly felt an indescribable feeling, his whole body became extremely uncomfortable, and he was vaguely shaking. This feeling is like fear coming from the depths of the soul. Orochimaru, if you understand the situation, you will be reincarnated immediately. Otherwise, I will send you on your way immediately. Yi Fan's tone was cold, without any emotion. Orochimaru took a breath, feeling extremely nervous. He knew very well that Yi Fan was not bragging, but he really had this strength. The moment Yi Fan pinched his neck was the first time he felt the breath of death since he was almost immortal. Orochimaru, you only have 3 seconds to think about it, don't wait until it's too late. Okay, I'll be reincarnated immediately. Orochimaru was frightened by Yi Fan's aura for a while, and his words became a little awkward. Yi Fan threw Orochimaru aside, and Orochimaru did not dare to make any other moves, and honestly formed the seal to release the reincarnation of the dirty earth. In the process of getting rid of the filthy earth reincarnation, Orochimaru's eyes became more and more intense. He secretly swore in his heart that he would definitely get Mark's body. Putting aside Yi Fan's physical body, the mysterious power fascinated him. He could clearly feel that in the face of that mysterious power, all blood inheritance limits were like ants, and they were far, far away. Such a mysterious power, coupled with such a powerful body, it's really perfect. Yi Fan comes from the Uchiha clan. Is it because of bloodline mutation that he doesn't have Sharingan, but he has something more heaven-defying? Orochimaru thought secretly in his heart, his desire for Mark's body getting stronger and stronger. At this moment, he doesn't want this body any longer, he only wants Yi Fan's body. However, the gap in strength forced him to think long-term. For him, the most important thing right now is how to get out of here. Filthy earth reincarnation was unlocked, the souls of the first Hokage and the second Hokage gradually left their bodies. The first words the second Hokage's soul said after leaving that body were, "You born evil brat Uchiha, I really want to kill you with my own hands." As soon as he finished speaking, the soul of first Hokage covered his mouth and said with a smile, "Ignore him, he has always looked like this. Your name is Uchiha Yi Fan, right? I'm optimistic about you. You have something that others don't have. Perhaps you can accomplish what our generation is pursuing and bring true peace to the ninja world. Come on, brother, let me go. I'm born evil." What evil is evil? First Hokage hit second Hokage on the back of the head and slowly disappeared between the world and the world. Looking at this scene, Yi Fan smiled dumbly. Second generation and first generation are really a pair of treasures. Especially first Hokage. No one would think that a person with this kind of personality would be the former god of ninja and the strongest person in the entire ninja world. After the first Hokage and the second Hokage left, Yi Fan looked at Orochimaru and said slowly, "Your earth reincarnation is very crude, and it has not used their strength at all." Haha, it's true. The unconscious Shodai and Nidaime are like puppets and have too many limitations. Orochimaru smiled and met Yi Fan's gaze. Although he is not Yi Fan's opponent, and Yi Fan can indeed kill him, he is not afraid of Yi Fan. Orochimaru came back to his senses and liked Mark from the bottom of his heart. Yi Fan glanced at him and said, "You are indeed one of the legendary Sannin. Your psychological quality is not comparable to that of ordinary people." While speaking, Yi Fan glanced at Sasuke, who was so frightened that he collapsed on the ground, his pupils dilated and his whole body trembling. "That's a compliment. I just felt that you didn't want to kill me." "Haha, that's right. I really don't want to kill you now. You are still valuable to me." Yi Fan looked at third Hokage and said, "Old man, I don't know how to do ninjutsu. Please use any sealing techniques to seal Orochimaru." The third Hokage nodded. He actually didn't want to kill Orochimaru. When the sealing techniques were used, Orochimaru did not resist. Now that Mark has said that he is still valuable to him, it is better not to escape at all. The chance of escape is not high anyway. Moreover, if he can stay with Yi Fan, then the chance of seizing the body will be much greater. When it happened, Yi Fan picked up Naruto, who fainted and rushed towards the inside of the village. Just when he was in the four purple flame formation, he felt an extremely manic chakra. That kind of chakra was not something that ordinary people could emit. Yi Fan guessed that it was probably One Tail who ran away in Konoha village. Just as he was on his way, the long-lost system sound rang in his mind. Ding. What sound? Congratulations to host for changing the plot of Hokage on a small scale and receiving the reward of Wukong technique. Ah, is this a system fraud? Yi Fan was a little surprised. He had never heard the sound of the system since he obtained the Saiyan blood. This made him think that his system disappeared after giving him a bloodline. This incident made him depressed for a long time. Other systems either give out rewards for signing in, or give out automatic cultivation, but compared with others, my own system looks very rubbish. It turns out the system has always been there. Yi Fan's face was filled with a bright smile, and the joy of being able to have love for free came to his heart. 10 years without any award. Do you know how I lived these 10 years? Yi Fan took a look at the function of Wukong technique. It was very different from the Dragon Ball he saw in his previous life. It was a flying skill. What surprised him was that Wukong Shu was a growth-type skill that could evolve as its own strength grew. When Mikujutsu evolves to its final state, it can shuttle and jump through space, which is somewhat similar to Flying Thunder God, or ninjutsu like Kamui. However, Wukong technique does not have so many restrictions and will not cause serious load on the body. Can you get rewards by changing the plot of Hokage? The corners of Yi Fan's mouth rose, as if he had discovered something interesting. If I directly change the plot of Hokage on a large scale, what kind of rewards will I get? As if Yi Fan had grasped some trick, he suddenly became enlightened and had more fantastic ideas in his mind. Yi Fan was so happy that he had newly gained the Wukong technique, and couldn't help but want to try the Wukong technique. With a thought in his mind, Yi Fan performed the Wukong technique, and his body slowly floated into the sky. Looking at the mountains, rivers and woods getting smaller and smaller in his field of vision, Yi Fan was in a very happy mood. Let's go. As soon as Yi Fan exerted his strength, he found that he had flown far out of Konoha village, and he was very surprised by the speed. At such a fast speed, Yi Fan felt that even Raikage's peak speed was not even half as fast as his own. In fact, he felt that his speed could be regarded as a real time and space ninjutsu in the Hokage world, even faster than the time and space ninjutsu. The initial state of Wukong technique can reach this speed. Yi Fan is somewhat looking forward to it evolving to the speed of its final state. When the time comes, will you be able to fly to the moon in no time? Yi Fan smiled and returned to Konoha village. As soon as he returned to Konoha village, he saw that Gaara had completely lost consciousness and ran away. At this time, Gaara's eyes were empty, like a puppet, without any emotion. 2/3 of his body has transformed into a tailed beast. Gaara went berserk, filled with murderous intent, and his hands were covered with blood. The Jonin of Konoha Anbu kept throwing ninjutsu at him, but they were unable to cause much damage to him. The ninjas who stopped Gaara released 7 or 8 ninjutsu, but it was still not worth a casual wave of Gaara. Except for Gaara, the rest of Konoha was also in a mess. A large number of psychic beasts and a large number of ninjas from other villages were killing each other. Many places were turned into ruins and filled with smoke. Yi Fan stood at a high place and scanned the whole place, discovering that the main force of Konoha was Anbu Jonin and the teachers leading the class. Why didn't anyone from the root come? Yi Fan frowned slightly and greeted the 18th generation of Danzo's ancestors from the bottom of his heart. Is Danzo crazy for wanting to be the Hokage? Does he think that if the 3rd Hokage dies, he must be the one who takes over? Yi Fan dared to conclude that Danzo had definitely received the news that the 3rd Hokage was trapped in the 4 Purple Flame formation by Orochimaru. But that's it. Not only did Danzo not send anyone to support the 3rd generation, he also didn't send anyone to protect the people of Konoha. Bah! Yi Fan spat, with a cold expression, looking down on Danzo's behavior. When 2nd generation chose Hokage, they missed the Hokage position because of their cowardice, but now they want to use this dirty trick to get higher. Haha, that old guy Danzo has the nerve to say that he is the root of Konoha hidden in the ground, the darkness hidden under the light. He is really not ashamed. To say that you are darkness hiding under the light is an insult to darkness. A person who is extremely selfish and will do anything for himself is worthy of saying that he is secretly protecting Konoha. Yi Fan's eyes turned cold and he said gloomily, "It's best that you didn't have a share in the original rumors. If you were to add fuel to the flames, I would send you to see the King of Hell immediately." For Yi Fan, there is no difference between squeezing Danzo to death and squeezing an ant to death. No matter how many resurrection armors he has, they are of no use. The seriously injured 3rd Hokage arrived belatedly. When he saw that among the people guarding Konoha, there was not a single root ninja, his heart dropped. In the past, he felt that everything Danzo did was for Konoha. But now, when Konoha is in dire straits, there is no trace of him. For a moment, 3rd Hokage felt very bitter, feeling that he had paid by mistake. The emotional changes of 3rd Hokage were clearly visible to Yi Fan. Yi Fan probably guessed what he was thinking and couldn't help but shook his head. In his eyes, the 3rd Hokage is not a good person either. Although he was indeed able to sacrifice himself for Konoha, this did not mean that all of his decisions were correct. In private, I don't know how many dirty things Danzo has done. Yi Fan glanced at Naruto, who had not yet woken up, and then at third Hokage, furious. After all, Naruto was a hero, but he ended up like that in his childhood. What I eat is instant noodles, what I drink is expired milk, and I can eat a meal of Ichiraku ramen, but it's all meat. Putting aside food and accommodation, when the fourth Hokage sealed 9 tails in Naruto, only the third Hokage and his 2 guards were present. The third Hokage was fully capable of blocking the news, but in the end it was made known to the entire village, causing Naruto to suffer injustice and looked down upon since he was a child. The funny thing is, everyone knows that Naruto is 9 Tails Jinchuriki, but no one knows that he is the hero who protected the village. In Yi Fan's view, even if third Hokage is indeed the one who has made some contributions to Konoha village, in the final analysis he is still a hypocritical person. Fundamentally, there is not much difference between third Hokage and Danzo. What third Hokage does is just a bit more glamorous on the surface. The consequences are sometimes much more serious than those caused by Danzo's method. When Yi Fan was thinking a lot, a violent vibration interrupted his thinking. Due to the intense killing, Gaara's body was completely taken over by One Tail, and his true form was completely revealed. One Tail swept his tail and blood flowed into a river, causing many casualties. It seems that One Tail has completely controlled Gaara. Yi Fan glanced at Naruto, who had not yet woken up, and said secretly, "Looks like I'm going to steal your limelight this time." Although Yi Fan doesn't have much affection for Konoha's senior officials, the people are always innocent. The thinking of the people is influenced by the high-level officials of Konoha. Sometimes they actually don't understand that they are doing something wrong. If he lets it go now, more innocent people will definitely be injured or even die. One Tail Shukaku, let me see what kind of power you have. After Yi Fan settled Naruto, he jumped and ran towards the place where One Tail was rioting. Just as he arrived at the scene of the riot, One Tail struck the ground with his palm, causing the earth to shake instantly and deep trenches to appear. Several ninjas who had no time to dodge were instantly turned into meat and completely lifeless. Are you Uchiha Yi Fan? Get out of here quickly, this is not something you can handle. Among the ninjas who besieged One Tail Shukaku, someone recognized Yi Fan and yelled quickly. There has always been an unwritten rule in Konoha that young people must not be involved in extremely dangerous tasks. Under normal circumstances, those who perform extremely dangerous tasks are older ninjas. The destructive power of this monster is too great. You hurry up and evacuate the crowd. Leave the rest to me. Not only did Yi Fan not flinch, but he rushed towards One Tail at a faster speed. Yi Fan, are you crazy? It's not something you can deal with, so hurry up and leave. Just leave a task of this level to us old guys. Someone in the crowd shouted. They saw that Yi Fan still didn't stop and frowned. Jonin, the leader, waved his hand, and the other person immediately understood and rushed towards Yi Fan, trying to take him away from here. But, just like this small gap, One Tail Shukaku seized the opportunity and struck with another palm. The strong wind spread in all directions, causing my face to hurt. Team leader, the Jonin who besieged One Tail watched helplessly as One Tail's huge palm slapped him, but they were unable to do anything. They have absolute sobriety and know that even if they rush forward, they will never be able to save the captain, and they will only lose their lives in vain. Yi Fan looked at the huge hand, his face darkened, and he rushed over at an extremely fast speed, pulling the captain back from the gate of hell at the critical moment. Fortunately, I caught up. Yi Fan breathed a long sigh of relief. He didn't want that person to die because of him. Everyone looked at the intact captain and didn't understand what happened for a moment. When he reacted, he was stunned. Yi Fan's speed. Isn't this a bit exaggerated? Did you see clearly how he saved the captain? No, the speed is too fast, I can't see clearly at all. For a moment, everyone forgot that they were still in danger and would die if they were not careful. It was only after the captain reminded them that they finally came to their senses and continued to use ninjutsu against One Tail. The captain who saved his life had no time to be surprised. He rushed into the crowd again and directed everyone to fight against One Tail. Yi Fan admired their spirit from the bottom of his heart. They had completely ignored life and death. Although hypocrisy is everywhere in the ninja world, there are still people who are willing to risk their lives for what they want to protect. Yi Fan suddenly realized that the world did not seem so hopeless. Yi Fan stretched out, not knowing what he was thinking, but there was more determination in his eyes. Just when he was about to take action, a powerful voice resounded in everyone's ears. Ninja technique, psychic technique. A huge toad fell from the sky and hit One Tail hard, forcing One Tail to sink into the ground. On the toad's head stood a middle-aged man with long white hair. It was Jiraiya. I shouldn't be late, right? Jiraiya whispered. Jiraiya-sama. No, you came just in time. Everyone looked at Jiraiya with excited expressions and trembling all over. One Tail's strength made them feel hopeless, but the man in front of them ignited hope in their hearts. It seems that as long as this man is here, even if the sky falls, it will be the same thing. Has Jinchuriki completely lost consciousness? There is really some trouble. It seems that I can only beat Jinchuriki to wake up. Jiraiya thought about it and only came up with this method. You go to support other places, just leave this to me. Jiraiya scanned the whole place and ordered. After everyone heard this, they immediately went to support other places without any hesitation. They knew in their hearts that if they continued to stay here, it would only distract Jiraiya, and they might as well go to support other places. Yi Fan, Mr. Third Generation, are you okay? Looking at Yi Fan's figure, Jiraiya understood that Orochimaru had been defeated. Otherwise, it would be impossible for Yi Fan and the others to appear here. I suffered a little injury and should rest for a while. Well, this is the best result. You should leave here as soon as possible. Jiraiya felt the strong vibration of One Tail and knew that Gamabunta could not hold on much longer. Yi Fan thought for a moment and nodded. Jiraiya, please be safe. He was very handsome just now. As soon as he finished speaking, Yi Fan hid in a tall building not far away, silently paying attention to everything. Now that Jiraiya is here, he doesn't have to do it himself. Yi Fan is very confident in Jiraiya, and there should be no problem in dealing with One Tail Jinchuriki. Ah, Jiraiya recalled Mark's words with a smile on his lips. Yi Fan, this brat, if I remember correctly, this is the first time he has praised me, right? I'm kidding, I'm Mount Myoboku Toad Sage, how can I not be handsome? Jiraiya, don't be in a daze, I can't hold it back anymore. Gamabunta roared and took the initiative to leave One Tail's body. It knows that if it doesn't leave, it will definitely get hurt. Ouch! The sudden departure of Gamabunta made Jiraiya almost unsteady and almost fell to the ground. Gamabunta, could you please stop being so surprised? I wasn't beaten to death by One Tail, I was almost thrown to death by you. Stop talking nonsense. One Tail stood up. I can feel it, it is very angry. Gamabunta took a deep drag on his cigarette, drew out the long knife from his waist, and stood ready. Jiraiya looked at One Tail, whose aura became more manic, and his expression became unusually solemn. Die, 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 you dare to suppress Mr. Shukaku, you must die. One Tail gritted his teeth and roared, making an extremely penetrating sound. Gamabunta, it's time to work. Jiraiya looked serious and began to form seals with his palms. Okay. Gamabunta held the cigarette rod in his mouth, took the lead with a long knife, and killed One Tail. Earth-style Yellow Springs Numa. The ground beneath One Tail Shukaku's feet turned into a quagmire the moment Jiraiya cast ninjutsu. One Tail's body also sank rapidly at this moment, and the more he moved, the faster he sank. Gamabunta, I leave it to you. I see. With the cooperation of Wonkwanuma, Gamabunta's goal was to stand motionless. Gamabunta was very fast and jumped in front of One Tail in the blink of an eye. Jung! A flash of white light flashed, and One Tail's arms were chopped off. As soon as the arm fell to the ground, it turned into a puddle of sand. Ah, 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 how dare you chop me! I am going to kill you! One Tail Shukaku screamed, his eyes filled with rage. At the same time, the aura on its body was also skyrocketing, and the massive amount of chakra made the surrounding air become a little thin. You are the one who will be chopped. Gamabunta shouted and rushed forward again with a long sword. This time its target was Shukaku's tail. After a brief fight, it discovered that Shukaku's tail was the most troublesome thing. The long sword attacked, and One Tail used its strong power to break free from the restraints of Wonkwanuma and dodge Gamabunta's attack. Where the long knife struck, a long deep trench was cut, almost splitting the land into two. The strength is so strong that one can see a Madara. Fire-style big flame bullet. As soon as one tail Shukaku broke free from the yellow spring marsh, a sea of flames with heat waves came one after another, hitting it hard on the back. Jiraiya had long known that Huang Quanuma could not control Shukaku for long, so he predicted the location and time of Shukaku's escape in advance. Yi Fan was a little surprised by the accuracy of the fighter's grasp. Although his strength is now enough to sweep the entire ninja world, he still has to admit that Jiraiya's combat experience is indeed much stronger than his. Shukaku, who was burned by fire style, quickly distanced himself from him and his attitude became serious. During the brief confrontation, it had already discovered that the person and toad in front of it were not ordinary people and ordinary toads. My hand recovered so quickly. It's really difficult. Jiraiya couldn't help but sigh as he looked at One Tail's perfectly restored hand. Without enough time to think about it, Jiraiya once again used a large ninjutsu. Fire-style dragon flame bullet. A huge fire dragon rose from the ground, completely surrounding One Tail Shukaku in the center. The continuous high temperature and violent burning caused One Tail to roll on the ground and destroyed many houses. A large amount of sand leaked out of One Tail's body, extinguishing the raging fire. It hurts, stupid human being, you have completely pissed me off. One Tail shouted. Wind escape practice blank bullets. The surging tailed beast chakra turned into a fierce wind and swept towards Jiraiya. Wherever it passed, the earth cracked and houses collapsed. Earth-style wall. Jiraiya quickly formed a seal, and an earth wall like a city wall rose from the ground. The empty bullets carried some powerful chakra and hit the earth wall, destroying the earth wall in an instant and stirring up dust all over the sky. Stupid human, finally die. One Tail Shukaku laughed, and his mood became extremely happy. The billowing smoke gradually dissipated, and One Tail's expression suddenly became ferocious. It looked incredulously not far away, showing an expression of disbelief. I saw Jiraiya standing behind a small mound of soil, unharmed. How is this possible? How can human power block my blank bullets? Haha, you can't kill me with this level of attack. Jiraiya raised the corner of his mouth, almost knowing clearly the upper limit of One Tail's strength in this state. It seems that you, who use the art of false sleep through a spiritual medium, are not able to fully display your strength. If you can use all your strength, you may still be able to make me feel helpless, but if you only have this little strength now, be prepared to submit obediently. Ignorant human being, how dare you underestimate me? Shukaku, who had always been regarded as supreme by Sunagakur village, now felt an unprecedented insult. It couldn't tolerate being looked down upon by a human being, so it was furious and extremely angry. The majestic chakra waves surged, and a terrifying aura filled the surrounding air. Many ninjas fighting in other places can clearly feel the terrifying pressure. Sasuke, who had just arrived from the Forest of Death, was so surprised when he saw this scene that he couldn't even speak. I thought that the battle in the Death Forest was outrageous enough, but I didn't expect that the battle here was even more shocking. One Tail gathered chakra and was about to use wind release when Jiraiya took the lead. The technique of messing up the lion's hair. Jiraiya's long hair quickly grew longer, flying towards One Tail like an extremely tough steel rope, completely binding it. The powerful binding force completely suppressed One Tail for a moment, making it unable to move. One Tail was controlled by Jiraiya. Gamabunta seized the opportunity and used ninjutsu water-style teppanyama. Huge water balloons kept falling on One Tail like cannonballs. One Tail Shukaku, who was defenseless, was beaten to a pulp by the iron gun jade, and his limbs and chest were penetrated. Ah! The brutal roar resounded throughout the entire Konoha village. One Tail, who was in pain, rebelled crazily. Its tail was the first to break through Jiraiya ninjutsu's restraints, and then the entire body broke free. One Tail, who was thrown into a trap, was extremely angry and rushed towards Yi. But, before it could get close to Jiraiya, a beam of sword light suddenly appeared. Gamabunta slashed at One Tail and severed One Tail's left leg. One Tail lost his balance and fell to the ground instantly. Gamabunta! Jiraiya shouted. Got it! Buntai crossed over to Jiraiya. Fire-style toad oil flame bomb. Gamabunta sprayed oil, and Jiraiya sprayed fire. The combination of oil and fire formed a more powerful fire that was not easily extinguished. Seeing such a terrifying fire style, One Tail quickly used his sand armor to block it. The blazing fire hit the sand armor in the blink of an eye, burning Shukaku's sand armor red in just a few seconds. The intense high temperature penetrated the sand armor and escaped into the interior. At this time, the sand armor was like a steamer, completely losing its defensive function. One Tail, wrapped in the armor of sand, was like a turtle in an urn, suffering terribly. One Tail was so burned that he had no choice but to take the initiative to dissipate the sand armor. The moment the sand armor dispersed, blazing fire suddenly fell on it. Moreover, Gamabunta added a bit of oil again. The intensity of the fire this time was far greater than the last time. One Tail's skin was burned extremely red under the fierce fire, and even his tattoos were burned off. Is this level of fighting really possible for humans? Since Sasuke stared hard, Mark's appearance appeared in his mind involuntarily. With such powerful master's teachings, how can I take revenge? Sasuke silently clenched his fists, desperately longing for power in his heart. It's been like this, hasn't the psychic awakened yet? Jiraiya frowned. All our attacks were blocked by Shukaku himself, and they did not affect the sleeping medium at all. Gamabunta analyzed. If we want the psychic to wake up, it seems we can only hit the psychic hard. Well, that's the only way. Jiraiya nodded. You help me catch it, and I'll wake up the psychic. Okay. Gamabunta nodded and rushed towards One Tail Shukaku, who fell to the ground. Jumping in front of One Tail, Tai Wentai was about to insert a knife into One Tail's body, and when he was immobilizing it, a blank missile flew towards him. Boom! There was a loud noise, and Gamabunta was knocked to the ground by the powerful force, and he could hardly hold the cigarette rod in his mouth. It hurts so much. Gamabunta broke into a cold sweat and cursed angrily. You guy, don't hit me with a ball full of chakra. Even I can't stand a few hits of a chakra ball of this level. Die. One Tail laughed maniacally and kept firing blank bullets. Seeing this, Gamabunta quickly used water style to block, but he was still forced back. Seeing that One Tail Shukaku's limbs were about to recover, Gamabunta was extremely anxious. They have put in a lot of effort to create this current situation. If One Tail is restored to its original state again, the previous efforts will be in vain. By that time, it will not be that simple to catch the defensive One Tail again. Jiraiya, think of a way quickly. I can't get close to it, I can't catch it. Gamabunta shouted. Jiraiya nodded. Necromantic technique. Rooftop collapse technique. A huge Toad-ken, fell from the sky and hit One Tail Shukaku's head hard, smashing it all into the soil. Seeing this, Gamabunta rushed forward and slashed Shukaku's tail with his sword, causing the tail to fall to the ground. Without the harassment from the tail, Gamabunta felt much more relieved, and slashed at One Tail's other foot again. Shukaku was unable to escape because he was pressed by Toad Takaru, so he could only watch his feet being cut off. The strong impact caused the psychic Gaara, who had been hidden by Shukaku, to appear. Jiraiya looked at Gaara, who was sleeping, and shouted, Gamabunta, Gamaken, hold Shukaku down. Receive. Me too. Jiraiya ran wildly and jumped in the air, jumping on Shukaku's head and in front of the psychic Gaara, holding a blue chakra ball in his hand. Rasengan. The chakra ball hit Gaara hard on the chest. Gaara, who had been sleeping, spit out a mouthful of blood because of the strong attack, and gradually woke up from his deep sleep. No, I finally came out, but I haven't had enough fun yet. I don't want to go back, I want to play outside. One Tail roared unwillingly, but his voice became smaller and smaller. Stupid human being, I remember you. Just wait for me. The next time I come out, you will be the first one I kill. After leaving the last words, One Tail's chakra gradually disappeared and returned to the seal in Gaara's body. Gaara's tailed beast form also disappeared at this moment, turning into a normal person. Boom. Gaara, who was almost fainting from exhaustion, fell heavily to the ground and didn't even have the strength to stand up. How could I fail? Although Gaara had no memory, he still knew what happened when he looked at Jiraiya, Gamabunta and the others standing in front of him. Jiraiya-sama wins. Shukaku was defeated by Jiraiya-sama. As expected of Jiraiya-sama, he won so quickly. The ninjas guarding Konoha felt Shukaku's chakra disappear and shouted in excitement, and their morale reached its peak at this moment. On the contrary, when the ninjas who attacked Konoha saw Gaara defeated, their morale fell to the bottom in an instant, and they no longer had the will to fight. They were beaten to a pulp by the Konoha ninjas and fled. In less than 10 minutes, the Konoha ninja put down the riot. The ninjas who attacked Konoha were dying and running away. Because of Jiraiya's timely appearance, Konoha did not cause much damage this time. Naruto, who woke up at some point, also had a panoramic view of the battle between Jiraiya and One Tail. Naruto was very shocked. He never imagined that the lecherous old man he met earlier had such strong strength. He seems to be much stronger than Mr. Kakashi. Naruto swallowed and tried to digest what he saw today. After he reacted, he looked around for Mark. Before fainting, he vaguely remembered Mark appearing. Yi-fan, Yi-fan, Naruto yelled and jumped out of the tall building. Yi-fan was facing the legendary Sannin Orochimaru, which made Naruto very worried. Although he knew that Yi-fan was very strong, he didn't think that Yi-fan could defeat Orochimaru. For a moment, Naruto was so anxious that he ran towards the forest of death. Ahem, Naruto, I'm here. As soon as Naruto ran out, he heard Yi-fan's voice ringing in his ears. He turned around and found Yi-fan sitting on the roof of the building where he was just now. Yi-fan, you are worried about me. Are you injured? Where is Orochimaru? Orochimaru, he was defeated by me. He should be in the Hokage room now. TCH, just brag, there's no way you could defeat Orochimaru. Did Grandpa third generation save us? Naruto ran to Mark, poked him left and right, and only smiled after confirming that Mark was not injured. Yi-fan, Pervy Sage's battle with that monster, did you see it? It's really too strong. Naruto's clear eyes were filled with envy as he said. I must become a powerful ninja like him, and I must protect the village like him. Yi-fan smiled when he heard this. Are you referring to Jiraiya? He is indeed a very powerful and excellent ninja. Jiraiya, Naruto felt a little familiar when he heard the name. He is Jiraiya, who is as famous as Orochimaru, one of the legendary Sannin. Well, yes, Yi-fan nodded and smiled. Do you want to learn? Haha, if I can learn ninjutsu from Pervy Sage, I will definitely be able to defeat Sasuke. Naruto, if you want to learn, I'll let him teach you. Yi-fan smiled gently, and his smile was like a spring breeze. Really, can you really let him teach me ninjutsu? Naruto's eyes were full of expectation. Of course, I have lived with him for 10 years, so he will still give me this face. Naruto was shocked when he heard this. No wonder you are so strong, it turns out you trained with Pervy Sage. Let's go. Yi-fan took Naruto to find Jiraiya. When leaving, Yi-fan glanced at Sasuke on the other side with interest. Because of his intervention, Sasuke was not cursed by Orochimaru. Sasuke's future path makes him very curious and somewhat looking forward to it. After handing Naruto to Jiraiya, Yi-fan was ready to ask Third Hokage and Danzo. The questions that have been buried in my heart for a long time should come to light today. Jiraiya, here, what's up? Jiraiya, who was cleaning up the mess, asked without raising his head. Don't you always want to have a good apprentice? I brought him one for you. Yi-fan said with a smile. Apprentice, what are you doing again? Jiraiya suddenly felt something was wrong. Mark's tone today was too gentle. He even had some doubts about whether Yi-fan was taken over by Orochimaru. Hello, Pervy Sage. Naruto jumped out from behind Mark and greeted with a smile. It's you. Come on, turn into a beautiful woman and show me. Jiraiya swallowed silently and stared at Naruto lustfully. Hey, stay away from me, I'm a man and I'm not interested in men. Facing Jiraiya's lustful eyes, Naruto felt very disgusted. If he hadn't just witnessed Jiraiya defeat One Tail, he would never have believed that the lecherous old man in front of him was a master. Change quickly, I have just experienced a big battle, my body is very exhausted, and I urgently need a beautiful woman to stimulate my sluggish nerves. Jiraiya, who had been lively just now, suddenly became sluggish and slumped next to Temari, Kankuro and Gaara. Temari and Kankuro originally came to rescue Gaara, but were easily captured by Jiraiya and tied up. Temari and Kankuro felt that their views were shattered when they saw Jiraiya's appearance. Is this man really a strong man who defeated Gaara and defeated us with just half a move? Temari and Kankuro couldn't help but fell into deep thought. This horse rider didn't look like a master at all. Naruto couldn't stand Jiraiya's persistent pursuit and chose to compromise. I promised it in advance, just once, for the last time. While talking, Naruto used his transformation technique and transformed into a beautiful woman with a delicate face, and there were only a few pieces of fabric. By the way, he also gave Jiraiya a wink and called Jiraiya-sama sweetly. Ah, ah, ah. Jiraiya looked at this scene, his energy and blood surged, he spurted out 2 spurts of nosebleeds, and fell to the ground with a satisfied look on his face, his heart brimming with emotion. Yi Fan looked at the two of them and snickered. Sure enough, you two are more suitable, what a pair. Jiraiya, I will leave him to you. By the way, his name is Uzumaki Naruto. Yi Fan waved his hands with his back to them and left here. Jiraiya was lying on the ground, looking at the blue sky, wondering what he was thinking. The sun shone on his face, and Jiraiya's face gently curved into a smile. How could he not know Naruto? Even this name was given by him. Glancing at Naruto who was smiling, Jiraiya smiled bitterly. It seems that I am destined to be a nanny in my life. I have brought up one child after another. Pervy sage, Brother Yi Fan said, I will practice with you from now on, you won't regret it, right? If you want to practice, let's clean up the mess here first. Later, we can follow Anbu's people and repair the houses in the village. If you behave to my satisfaction, I can consider taking you to practice, and maybe treat you to a bowl of Ichiraku ramen. When Naruto heard the word ramen, he swallowed involuntarily. Pervy sage, you have to keep your word. Naruto was full of energy and began to clean up the mess. Jiraiya was at ease, lying on the branches very comfortably. Looking at the direction in which Mark was going, Jiraiya knew exactly where he was going. Jiraiya didn't know much about the past. However, Yi Fan has never concealed it from him. A long time ago, Yi Fan told Jiraiya that if he returns to Konoha one day, the first thing he will do is to ask for the truth. If your parents' death is really related to the top management of Konoha, it doesn't seem to matter if they make a fuss. Konoha village should really reshuffle its cards. I hope this matter has nothing to do with third generation, otherwise, I really don't know what to do. Jiraiya let out a long sigh, leaving a shadow clone in place, and followed him quietly. Although he appeared unworried on the surface, he was actually quite worried in his heart. He was not only worried about Mark's safety, but also worried about the safety of Konoha. He had heard about the Uchiha clan's affairs at the beginning, and he guessed that the death of Yi Fan's parents must have a lot to do with Danzo. And the old guy Danzo's methods were so weird that even Jiraiya was wary of him. The Hokage room was very lively, with almost all the high-level officials of Konoha gathered here. Third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen, Mito Monin, Kaharu Shimura, Shimura Danzo, Nara Shikaku, Anbu spokesperson, and Fire Nation spokesperson, all gathered together. The third Hokage sat on the main seat, and the others sat in turn. The spokesperson of the Fire Country sat at the bottom with a straight face, as if he had no right to speak. Third Hokage-sama, several Jonin of my roots were apparently killed by your Anbu people during their missions. Please give me an explanation. Shimura Danzo was the first to speak. He did not know that those Jonin at the root were killed by Yi Fan. When everyone heard this, they felt very unhappy. Everyone knew the purpose of today's meeting. But at this time, Danzo said these things that had nothing to do with this incident. However, everyone remained silent and turned their attention to third Hokage. Ahem. The third Hokage, who was dragging his seriously injured body, coughed violently and his face turned extremely pale. He has been completely disappointed with Danzo. In the past, no matter what Danzo did, as long as it did not threaten the safety of Konoha, he could pretend not to see it. Even if Danzo secretly turned the foundation that cultivated Anbu's talents into his own personal weapon, third generation pretended not to know. But this time, Konoha was invaded by other villages, and Danzo and his men could not even see a shadow. This incident completely touched his bottom line. The third Hokage did not answer Danzo's question, but asked in a stern tone. Danzo, what did you and Nibi do in this incident? Please report everything. I mean report everything. Following the third generation's words, everyone's eyes fell on Danzo, and this was the question they wanted to ask. Danzo glanced at everyone, stood up slowly, pretended to take out a piece of paper, and read. All the Jonin in the route were sent to various countries to do missions before this incident, and the ones left behind are all young people. This incident is extremely dangerous, and none of those young people have participated. While talking, Danzo handed out a piece of paper to everyone present, which recorded the contents of the tasks performed by the root Jonin. The third Hokage didn't even look at the piece of paper. He suppressed his anger and asked, "Are all the facts recorded on this piece of paper?" "Well, it's absolutely true. The matter is now clear. Lord Third Hokage, can you answer the question I just asked?" "The top of my base. What about you? Where have you been? You also went out on a mission." Before Danzo could finish his words, he was sharply interrupted by Third Hokage. The third Hokage smashed the desk in front of him with a slap, and the atmosphere in the Hokage room instantly became tense. The third Hokage suddenly became angry, frightening everyone present, and even Danzo was very surprised. Konoha didn't suffer much loss now. He originally thought that the third Hokage wouldn't care about this kind of thing at all. After all, it had done a lot of more extreme things than this before. I didn't expect that third generation would be so angry now, and it seemed like they were going to take action. Third Hokage-sama, you just need to tell me a reason for the root ninja matter. I don't want to use this matter to challenge you. Danzo thought that he was asking about the root matter, which made the third Hokage angry, so he quickly explained and made his point clear. Danzo, I am asking you now why you were not there when Sand Shinobi Village and Sound Ninja Village invaded Konoha. Please don't get to the bottom of it with me. I don't want to hear it. The third Hokage's face was as gloomy as water, and he stared directly at Danzo. The corner of Danzo's mouth twitched, and for a moment he was a little unsure about the third Hokage. What kind of medicine was being sold in the gourd, and he was still holding on to this matter. The other high-level officials of Konoha were silent at this time. This was the first time they had seen Hiruzen Sarutobi so angry since he succeeded Hokage. Everyone among them is afraid of getting burned. After all, anyone who can sit in this position has a dirty butt. At this moment, they had no choice but to wait quietly for this matter to pass. What, are you mute, or you don't take me, the third Hokage of Konoha Village, seriously at all, and don't want to answer my questions? Seeing that Danzo remained silent, third Hokage asked again. No, you are the top leader of our Konoha Village, how dare I not take you seriously? Danzo, who was scolded repeatedly, was a little angry at this time, but in front of so many people, he still suppressed his anger deep in his heart. Then tell me, why didn't you take action in this incident? Don't tell me that you also went out to perform other tasks and were not in the village. I tell you, my subordinates saw it with their own eyes. You were in the village at the time. When Danzo heard this, his mind was spinning rapidly, thinking of a perfect reason to excuse him. At this point, he finally understood that if he couldn't come up with a reason today, he would probably have to walk around without food. Since you don't want to answer, I'll answer it for you. Third generation's eyes were cold. Are you thinking that I am no longer useful when I am old and will be killed by Orochimaru? When I die, you will be the fifth Hokage of Konoha Village. No, no, no. How is this possible? I, Danzo, would never have such an idea. Danzo, whose fig leaf was lifted, became a little flustered for a moment. He did not expect that third Hokage would actually say these words in front of so many high-level officials in Konoha. Danzo, I have always been aware of your thoughts. I just don't want to argue with you. I don't want to occupy the position of Hokage forever. I also want to enjoy some family happiness as soon as possible. I also want to give you the position of Hokage, but the problem is that you are not suitable. I think you yourself know this very well. Second generation already tested you when it was still alive. The third Hokage's words were like sharp knives, constantly poking Danzo's heart. Especially that sentence, second Hokage has already tested you, and it almost made him break through the defense. The incident when the second Hokage chose the air was an eternal pain for Danzo, and he still dreams about that incident to this day. Danzo often hated himself, hating that he was too weak and cowardly at that time. If I had been more resolute in character and more decisive in my actions at that time, I wouldn't be like this now. The third Hokage slowly walked to Danzo and said to everyone, "Today, I, Hiruzen Sarutobi, declare in the name of the third Hokage that Danzo will never be allowed to hold the position of Hokage in the Leaf Village. I will notify the whole village in a document about this matter afterwards." The third Hokage's voice was unusually calm, but when it fell into Danzo's ears, it was like thunder from the ground, a thunderbolt from the blue, causing his brain to buzz. Danzo was sitting on the chair, his face full of disappointment. The decision of the third Hokage was tantamount to completely blocking his future path. As long as the document is issued, it means that no matter how hard he tries, he will never be able to become the Hokage of Konoha village. The matter was not over yet. Third Hokage continued to speak. "I declare that starting from today, you will be removed from your position as the root leader and demoted to an ordinary Jonin. From now on, you are not allowed to participate in or interfere with Konoha's high-level decisions in any way." As soon as these words came out, the whole place was in an uproar, and everyone's faces were filled with disbelief. They couldn't believe their ears, they couldn't believe that third Hokage would make such a decision. The expressions of Nara Shikaku and Mito Kadoyan changed drastically. They all understood what serious consequences it would have if third Hokage did this. Danzo has many masters under his control. If he does this, it is likely to cause a coup. Danzo holds great power, although he has always been a thorn in their side and a thorn in their flesh that they want to remove. But, undoubtedly, it cannot be removed with just such a sentence. Danzo's power in Konoha has penetrated too deeply and can only achieve its goal by slowly disintegrating. If it is too tough, it will inevitably lead to a counterattack. Third Hokage-sama, this must not be done. Shimura Danzo has made great contributions to Konoha, and we must not remove him from his position because of such a trivial matter. Hidden Leaf Village Senior Advisor Mito Kadoyan said quickly. "Go to bed Kaharu, Nara Shikaku, the spokesperson of the Fire Country, etc." Everyone present also tried to dissuade him, hoping that the third Hokage could take back his life. Their faces were full of worry, and they all understood how serious the consequences of doing so would be. After hearing the third Hokage's decision, Danzo smiled instead of angry. He lay on his chair and looked directly at the third Hokage without evading his gaze. The order that he could never hold the position of Hokage was already unacceptable to him. If he were to be removed from his position, even he himself didn't know what kind of actions he would make. Third Hokage-sama, Danzo Shimura has worked hard for the peace of Konoha for so many years. You really shouldn't punish him so severely. What's more, he has been the leader of the root for so long. Even if he is removed from his position, there will be no second suitable person. The senior officials of Konoha are still trying to dissuade him. A small thing. Do you all think that when Konoha is facing foreign enemies, not helping for your own selfish desires is a small matter? The third Hokage glanced at the audience and said without any hesitation, "I have made up my mind, and I will remove Shimura from the position of leader of Danzo's roots with immediate effect." When everyone heard this, they were frightened and their expressions changed greatly. Okay, very good. Sarutobi Hiruzen, you did a great job." Danzo stood up slowly, glanced at third Hokage, and said coldly, "How many things have I done for you over the years? Since you said so, I don't deserve to be the leader." "That's right, I'm worried that you won't be able to do this Hokage position in the future." The naked threatening voice echoed in the Hokage room. Danzo smashed the table in front of him with one palm and strode towards the Hokage outdoor room. "Danzo, over the years, you have indeed done a lot for Konoha, and you have also shared a lot of my worries. But you also made me make a lot of wrong decisions. If you dare to do anything detrimental to Konoha, I will definitely kill you with my own hands." HMPH. Danzo snorted and left the Hokage room minding his own business. At this moment, a childish voice sounded in the Hokage room. "You've already come, why are you so busy leaving? Just wait, I have something to ask you." A figure jumped from the roof to the windowsill. It was Yi Fan. Who? In the Hokage room, everyone looked out the window. Looking at the young man whose face was a little immature but whose eyes seemed full of vicissitudes of life, everyone was shocked in their hearts. One is because of the strong sense of contrast, and the other is because none of them noticed when Yi Fan sneaked into the Hokage room. Being able to sneak into them silently doesn't mean that you can kill them silently. The senior officials of Konoha stared at Yi Fan and felt extremely dangerous, which made them fearful. Yi Fan scanned the audience and found that except for Nara Shikaku and Third Hokage, who had no murderous intent in their eyes, the eyes of several other people all had varying degrees of murderous intent. Especially Shimura Danzo, Mito Manabu and Kaden Kaharu. The murderous intent in the eyes of the three of them was not hidden at all. Uchiha Yi Fan. Danzo stopped leaving and stared directly at Yi Fan. The chakra in his body gradually overflowed, and the meaning was very obvious. Although Kaharu did not speak, he raised his breath to its peak and was ready to kill Yi Fan at any time. The two of them have always had the same ideas as Danzo's. The two of them were able to abandon everything, or people, for the so-called stability of Konoha. No matter how much contribution those people have made to Konoha before, as long as their displayed will is contrary to theirs, they must die. They believe that only by eradicating all people or things that have any unstable factors can Konoha village have real peace. The two of them were indispensable for the demise of the Uchiha clan. If it weren't for the pressure from the two of them and Danzo's encouragement, the Uchiha clan would not have been so marginalized by Konoha and eventually perished. Moreover, even though the Uchiha clan was almost extinct, the two of them were not satisfied and wanted to kill the young Uchiha Sasuke. All along, if the third Hokage hadn't been determined to protect Sasuke, he might have died one night. When they learned about Yi Fan's return to the village, they were also full of murderous intent. In their hearts, Yi Fan's existence is likely to threaten the peace of Konoha. Even if he is a waste with no blood inheritance limit, he must die. For this matter, they have put pressure on the third Hokage more than once. At that time, Jiraiya took the initiative to appear in the Hokage room, also to express his attitude to the two of them and Danzo. The reason why Jiraiya is so strong is actually to protect Mark and protect him from assassination. Uchiha, haha, the moment my parents committed suicide, I was no longer a member of the Uchiha clan. From now on, please call me sun-wearing steel plate Yi Fan. With a cold smile on his face, Yi Fan smashed the windowsill with his foot and slowly walked into the Hokage room. Yi Fan, do you know where this place is? There is no place for young people like you to run wild here. The moment the windowsill broke, Danzo, Kaharu, and Mito Keitoyan quickly formed seals, preparing to suppress Yi Fan. HMPH, hypocritical garbage. Yi Fan snorted coldly and stood motionless, looking at them with disdain and not taking the three of them seriously at all. Stop. Upon seeing this, the third Hokage immediately roared and stopped the three of them. Danzo, I told you to stop. The third Hokage saw that Danzo still had no intention of stopping, so he stepped in front of him and grabbed his arm. Although the third Hokage was seriously injured, the aura of superiority that he had developed over the years remained undiminished. Sarutobi Hiruzen, can't you see that he has some rebellious intentions? If this son is not eliminated, he will become a big trouble in the future. Even if he is a waste with no bloodline limit now. Danzo roared, his attitude was very determined. Yes, I can clearly feel that he has no sense of belonging to Konoha at all. He is also a descendant of the Uchiha clan. Even if he is a waste, he will pose a hidden danger to the peace of Konoha. He must die. Mito Menyon stood up, murderous intent filling the air. Master Third Hokage, I have warned you long ago that Mark has no loyalty to Konoha at all, but you just don't believe it. It's okay now, you dare to knock on the door. Kaharu turned to bed and pointed at Yi Fan with a sinister look. Even if you are Jiraiya's apprentice, I will never let you go. Anything that poses a threat to Konoha cannot exist in this world. Facing the threats from the three of them, Yi Fan smiled disdainfully, his face becoming more and more grim. At the same time, Yi Fan also realized one thing. They didn't seem to know about his defeat of Orochimaru. If they knew about the Forest of Death, they would never dare to speak to themselves like this. In the Forest of Death, he crushed 3 shadow-level experts. This level of strength is enough to pose a serious threat to any ninja village in the ninja world. Hearing Kaharu's words, Yi Fan smiled and replied, well, anything that poses a threat to Konoha should not exist in this world. Didn't Konoha just experience an invasion? You go and destroy Sunagakure village now. There are also Kumogakure, Iwagakure and other ninja villages. Which one is not a threat to Konoha? You are so awesome, just wipe them all out and unify the ninja world. Let's see what I can get from you. I've only had enough to eat for a few days, and I don't even know what my last name is. Kaharu went to bed and was speechless by Yi Fan. His chest was heaving and he was breathing heavily, almost losing his breath. After waiting for a few seconds, he roared angrily, strong words. Look at me and I will kill you right now. That's enough. Third Hokage smashed the floor with his foot, he was really angry. Go to bed Kaharu. Mito Mano, Shimura Danzo, do you think I'm dead? Or do you think Konoha is yours to make the decision? I have already said that no one can take action against Yi Fan, and no one can assassinate Yi Fan in any way. Are you deaf? You all said that Yi Fan would pose a threat to the peace of Konoha. I would like to ask you if he poses a threat to Konoha now. Has he destroyed the order of Konoha? I'm not dead yet, so it's not your turn to make the decision. The entire Hokage room echoed with the curses of the third Hokage. The senior officials of Konoha looked at the angry third Hokage with different expressions and complex expressions. If the anger towards Danzo just now was something they had never seen before, then the anger they were showing now was something they had never imagined. If they hadn't experienced this personally, they would never have believed that Hiruzen Sarutobi, who had always been known for his kindness, would have such emotions. For a moment, the Hokage room fell into a dead silence, so quiet that even each other's breathing could be heard clearly. After a few seconds of silence, Danzo's voice broke the silence. He still refused to give up and said, Yi Fan does not pose a threat to Konoha now, but this is just because his current strength is too weak. If he has great power one day, do you think he will still be the same as he is now? Can you still guarantee that he will still be the same as he is now? Hiruzen, your heart is still too soft. We must nip all unstable factors in the bud to ensure the stability of Konoha. Moving to bed, Kaharu and the others agreed very much with Danzo's words. Just now, although they didn't find out when Yi Fan came, it didn't matter when they thought about it. It's very possible that their attention was focused on Danzo's matter and they didn't notice other things. How much trouble can a 13 or 14-year-old child make? As soon as Danzo finished speaking, third Hokage immediately looked at him with some surprise in his eyes. He thought Danzo already knew what happened in the Forest of Death. But now it seems that Danzo doesn't know about that. It seems that among all the people present, except Anbu's spokesperson and himself, no one knows about this matter. Third Hokage thought about it and found that everything made sense. Just now, he was still wondering why among the people with murderous intentions, except for spokesperson Anbu, the others were showing contempt. Oh, what do you mean? If I am strong, I will pose a threat to Konoha, or even destroy Konoha. When Yi Fan heard this, he looked at Danzo with a playful expression and said, to be honest, I'm not very interested in destroying Konoha, nor in your so-called peace. I'm just a little interested in you old guys. I came here today just to find out some things. If the truth is as I guessed, I don't mind killing a few more people. I, Yi Fan, am not a murderous person, but I am definitely not a person who refuses to avenge his revenge. Do you think this is your back garden? You dare to say such big words, and you are not afraid of the wind blowing your tongue. Mito Menyon roared. Danzo and Kaharu also stared at Yi Fan viciously, and they naturally knew in their hearts what the hatred in Yi Fan's mouth meant. As soon as these words came out, their murderous intention was further strengthened. In their eyes, Yi Fan was already a cold corpse. I don't know why I have such a murderous intention towards Yi Fan. I don't know if it's really for the so-called peace, or if I want to cover up some dirty things. Danzo and the three of them had the same idea in their minds. They all thought that even if they couldn't kill Mark now, they would take action immediately when he reached a place without the protection of the third Hokage. Listening to Yi Fan's words, third Hokage also realized something, his face became heavy, and he had mixed feelings. A long-lasting memory came to mind like a flood. Third Hokage sighed, handed Mark a chair, and said, Yi Fan, if you have anything you want to ask, just ask. As long as it doesn't involve Konoha's top secrets, I will tell you everything. Third Hokage has made up its mind, and it is indeed time to give Mark an explanation. Danzo and the others were shocked when they heard this, and quickly tried to stop the third Hokage. They could roughly guess what questions Yi Fan would ask, and the truth of those things was just hidden in their stomachs and not suitable for open discussion. Third Hokage glanced at the three of them and stopped them. The third Hokage doesn't know the importance of these things, but after carrying them for so long, he is tired. He always felt that some secrets should not be hidden in the dark all his life. Yi Fan took the chair, placed it where he could see everyone, and sat on it carelessly, crossing his legs. Mito Menyon and the others looked at Mark's sitting posture and were very displeased, but they could only endure it. Shimura Danzo, Mito Kadoin, and Kaharu all looked at each other and exchanged their thoughts. Now that third generation is going to tell some secrets, it's already a done deal and cannot be changed. They can only kill those who have heard the secrets, and some secrets are not known to everyone. Once you know it, the only way to go is death. Yuji, Sun Chuang Steel Plate Yi Fan, if you want to know something, just ask. Third Hokage looked directly at Yi Fan, with a gentle tone, a kind attitude, and a kind face. Yi Fan turned a blind eye to these. Whether it was true kindness or false benevolence, Yi Fan couldn't control that much. He knew that the third Hokage was not a good person, and had asked Danzo to do many shameful things behind his back. Sometimes, in fact, this kind of person is far more hateful than Danzo's kind. It's like, some people stand in the light of morality, and people can't tell whether they are humans or dogs for a while. Coming here today, the only thing that surprised Yi Fan was the frankness of third Hokage. He could tell from the look in third Hokage's eyes that he really wanted to tell him something. Originally, I had to use some means to get what I wanted to know, but I never thought it would be much easier. Yi Fan, who was sitting on the chair with his arms raised, looked at third Hokage and slowly asked some questions in his heart. You know who I am, right? I know, you used to be Uchiha Yi Fan, and now you are Sunwear Steel Plate Yi Fan. The tone of both of them was very calm, and the Hokage room also became extremely quiet, with only their two voices. Yi Fan continued to ask, what else? The third Hokage thought for a moment and said, when you were a child, you were called the god of plague by the people in the village. Waste without any line of inheritance, this situation is most serious especially among the Uchiha clan. Quote, how did my parents die? When this question was asked, Danzo and others' emotions obviously fluctuated. All this was also seen by Yi Fan. Suicide, to be more precise, means dying in your place. The third Hokage replied. Why did they want to kill me in the first place? Yi Fan asked. At first, you didn't have any Uchiha bloodline since you were born, and then the Nine Tails Rebellion occurred in Konoha village. The Uchiha clan was also arranged to live in the most marginalized areas and could not participate in all major and minor events in the village. Most people in the Uchiha clan attribute the causes of these things to you, the god of plague. They want to kill you to stop this situation from getting worse. Quote, that's why I killed you, and your parents chose to commit suicide in order for you to remember to live. After your parents died, the leader of the Uchiha clan, Uchiha Fugaku, saved you. As he spoke, third Hokage's face was filled with sadness. He didn't know whether he felt pity for Yi Fan's experience or thought of the Uchiha clan that was almost extinct. Haha, Sarutobi Hiruzen, it seems you know these things very well. Yi Fan did not call him third Hokage, but called him by his first name. Then where did the news that I am the god of plague begin? Did it start to spread from within the Uchiha clan, or from the mouths of you, the so-called high-level officials of Konoha? Is this really just a rumor, or is it a political method used by you to provoke civil strife in the Uchiha clan? Yi Fan shouted angrily, his eyes scanning the whole place, and his whole body was filled with murderous intent. In the final analysis, most of the reasons for his parents' death were because of this incident. If this rumor had not appeared, his parents would not have died. Even if Uchiha Itachi starts the killing plan, Yi Fan can still save the lives of his parents. Although Yi Fan is a time traveler, he can come to this world because his parents gave him life. To this day, he still remembers his parents' smiles and their tenderness. He must avenge his parents' death, and he must get even worse. As soon as this question came up, the expressions of Shimura Danzo, Mito Monin, and Kaharu changed drastically, and they could no longer sit still. Chapter 31. The three of them had gloomy faces and stared at the third Hokage. If third Hokage tells the truth about this matter, it means putting the dirty things they have done on the table. It means that the dark side of Konoha is completely exposed to the sun. It means completely tearing off the last fig leaf on their faces. Moreover, if this kind of thing is exposed to the public, Konoha is likely to fall into panic. After all, not everyone, not all families, can accept this kind of thing. Where there is light, there is darkness. Light is really light, and darkness is also really dark. Anbu spokesperson, Nara Shikaku, and Fire Nation spokespersons also held their breath at this time, wanting to know these secret things. Although they are high-level officials of Konoha village, they are still very curious about Mark's question. Even before this, they had never thought that this matter would be a political means. In the past, they all thought that the news that Yifan was the Uchiha plague god came from within Uchiha. But, based on the current situation, it seems that there is more meaning hidden behind that incident. The few of them searched for some long-lost memories, and suddenly discovered that everything happened after Yifan took action. Coincidentally, one link leads to another until the Uchiha clan is destroyed. Upon hearing this question, third Hokage slowly closed his eyes and fell into silence. Danzo and the other three were restless like ants on a hot pot. Although they had already decided in advance to kill everyone who knew these secrets. However, when the secret was about to be made public, I was still very uneasy and couldn't help but become nervous. Even if everyone knows some things, if you don't tell them, there will be no problem. If you tell them, you will have to pay the price. Not to mention, only the four of them in the entire Konoha knew about what Yifan asked. Yifan snorted coldly and said sarcastically. Why, Master Third Hokage, didn't you just say you knew everything? Why are you stuck now? The third Hokage remained silent, but his expression became more and more serious. After about 2 or 3 minutes, third Hokage sighed and spoke slowly. Yifan, this matter involves a lot, I can only tell you some of it. The rest of the things are related to the safety of Konoha and the lives of some people. I'm sorry I can't tell you. Hearing the next sentence, Yifan instantly understood what he was referring to. The second sentence of third Hokage is obviously talking about Uchiha Itachi. Others may not know, but Yifan knows it very well. Although Uchiha Itachi appears to be a rebellious ninja, he is actually a ninja who is extremely loyal to Konoha. No matter when the Uchiha clan was not yet extinct, he was used as an undercover agent by the Uchiha senior officials and placed in Anbu. He later became Konoha's SSS level wanted criminal. After being put on the must-kill list, he was absolutely loyal to Konoha. Uchiha Itachi can kill his family, lovers, and tribesmen with a sword for the sake of the village. It was also his ability to do things that ordinary people couldn't understand for the sake of the stability of the village and to be desperate, which made Yifan think highly of him. Sometimes, Yifan would think about a question: what kind of ideological decision-making should a person have before he can choose to give up so many things? Yifan asked himself, he couldn't do that. If one day, someone forces him to make that choice, the grass on the grave will probably be 3 meters high the next year. Yifan had some doubts, whether Uchiha Itachi had fallen into Uchiha Shisui's genjutsu distinguished heavenly gods to make him love Konoha so deeply. The phrase, Konoha has tortured me 1,000 times and I treat Konoha as my first love, is perfect to describe Itachi. You only need to tell me what I want to know. I'm not interested in other things. Yifan looked at third Hokage. Third Hokage took a deep breath and said, you are right. The fact that you are the god of plague is indeed a political means. As soon as these words came out, all the high-level officials of Konoha had different expressions and complicated expressions. Danzo and the other three were even more on pins and needles. This matter is indeed what you said. It is a means for me to sow discord between the Uchiha clan and consolidate my power. This matter was planned and implemented by me from beginning to end. No other person in Konoha knows about it. I have some unshirkable responsibilities for the death of your parents and even the destruction of the Uchiha clan. After saying these words, third Hokage felt relieved, as if the huge stone that had been pressing in his heart was released. When Shimura Danzo and the others heard this, they were stunned for a moment, then their brows relaxed and they felt happy. They didn't expect that third Hokage would actually say that. Oh, are you really the only one? Yi Fan had a panoramic view of the changes in Danzos and their expressions. In fact, he had a rough guess based on their actions. If this was said to be done by third Hokage alone, Yi Fan would never believe it. The third Hokage acts weakly and indecisively, and will never take such tough measures on such a big matter. Yes, everything happened because of me. Third Hokage said calmly. Yi Fan, I'm sorry. If it hadn't been for my decision, your childhood wouldn't have been so gloomy. Maybe your parents wouldn't have died, and the Uchiha clan wouldn't have perished. Because of my stupid decision, the Uchiha clan was destroyed. It was the worst mistake I have ever made in my life. While speaking, third Hokage slowly walked up to Yi Fan, bowed deeply and said, I apologize to all the Uchiha people for my wrong decision. I know that just apologizing will not make up for the mistakes I made. After this matter is over, I will pass the position of Hokage to Jiraiya and then die to apologize. The third Hokage's tone was unusually calm, and he had already made up his mind. All the high-level officials of Konoha were shocked when they heard this and hurriedly tried to persuade him. The Hokage room became a mess. But Shimura Danzo only heard the words, passing Jiraiya's position. For a time, countless thoughts came to mind, and a plan to seize the position of Hokage came to mind. Haha, Lord Third Hokage, do you think you can handle all this by yourself? Yi Fan's voice rang out in the extremely noisy Hokage room. There must be someone else who pushed for that incident, right? Yi Fan's eyes swept over Shimura Danzo, Transfer Bed Kaharu, and Mito Menyon. The moment their eyes glanced over, the three of them subconsciously dodged. After dodging, they realized that Yi Fan was not Uchiha Fugaku, he was just a child. There was nothing to hide from. Danzo and Mito Kabuto, the three of them have no knowledge of this matter. This matter is entirely my decision alone. In his panic, Third Hokage almost spilled the beans for a moment. Haha, Lord Third Hokage, I have already mastered a lot of evidence on this matter. I came here today just to confirm it. The performance of Shimura Danzo and the others is enough to prove that the evidence I have is true. Yi Fan crossed his legs, his face was as gloomy as water, and he couldn't wait to attack them. But now, he still has a few questions and needs to know the truth. Yi Fan, that matter really has nothing to do with them, this. No need to say more, I can only figure everything out about that matter. Yi Fan interrupted Third Hokage and continued. I have a few more questions to ask you. These questions have nothing to do with the Uchiha clan. Oh, you ask. The third Hokage looked complicated. He was a little worried that Mito Kadoyan and the three of them would get into trouble because of the original incident. He has experienced Yi Fan's strength firsthand. When fighting Orochimaru in the Death Forest, third Hokage already knew that Yi Fan's strength far exceeded his own. Moreover, Yi Fan still followed the path of conquering 10 guilds with one force, which was more than a step better than the ninjas who practiced ninjutsu at the same level. Third Hokage feels that this matter seems to be gradually getting out of his control and becoming more and more difficult. Yi Fan, I'm asking here and there, why are there so many bullshit questions? Are you being embarrassed? Just as Yi Fan was about to speak, he was interrupted by the curse of Kaharu, Konoha's senior advisor, who moved to bed. Get out of here as far as you can. This is the highest authority in Konoha, not your back garden. Shut up. Third Hokage shouted out quickly. But the third Hokage's voice not only did not stop Kaharu from sleeping, but intensified it. Yi Fan, you orphan, don't think that you can do whatever you want with the support of Master Third Hokage. I've asked so many questions and you still want to ask. As he went to bed, Kaharu's curses became more and more unpleasant, and Yi Fan's expression became more and more grim. Yi Fan raised his head slightly and looked at her, his cold eyes like 1,000 feet of ice. After going to bed, Kaharu cursed more and more vigorously, and his words became more vicious. Suddenly, she felt a cold wind blowing in front of her, and a figure suddenly appeared. Old Lady Sao Nima, Lousy has tolerated you for a long time. Lousy doesn't want to argue with you for the time being. Do you really think Lousy is afraid of you? Yi Fan cursed angrily, and slapped Kaharu in the face with a big dick. The huge force instantly lifted her away and hit her hard against the wall, where she remained motionless. Puff! After going to bed, Kaharu spit out a mouthful of blood, with 7 or 8 teeth mixed in with it. The side of the face that had been touched by the big dick immediately swelled up. Old woman, didn't your parents teach you not to interrupt when others are talking? Yi Fan turned to Kaharu, and there was another big dick on his face. This slap completely shattered all her teeth, leaving not a single one left. The other side of the face also swelled up instantly, turning into a pig's head. You. How dare you hit me? After going to bed, Kaharu stared at Yi Fan in disbelief, with a confused look on his face. She has been in a high position all year round, and she has always been the one to hit people. When would anyone dare to hit her? But today, I was beaten by a junior, and I felt like my dignity was being pressed to the ground and rubbed. Hit you. Lousy dares to kill you, do you believe it or not? Yi Fan slapped Kaharu's face with his big dick again, causing her to bleed from all her orifices, and she fainted completely. You are really the stuff of the blacksmith shop, the product of being beaten. Yi Fan, you actually dare to hit the senior advisor of Konoha Hidden Village, you are looking for death. Mito Kadoyan saw his old partner being beaten, and his anger was instantly ignited. Immediately, Mito Menyon quickly formed the seal, water-style water. Mitoman was dripping with water. Before he finished, Yi Fan rushed to him and raised his hand to reveal a set of big pussy bags. Like Kaharu, who transferred to another bed, Mito Menyon was beaten into a pig's head by Yi Fan, with not a single tooth left in his mouth. Yi Fan put his foot on Mito Menyon's chest and glanced at Danzo. Do you also want to dance? Danzo didn't reply. His brows were furrowed and he was shocked. The other high-level officials in Konoha, except for the third Hokage, were all in turmoil. Mito Manabu and Kaharu, 2 cage-level experts with comparable strength to the third Hokage, veteran experts from Konohagakure, were defeated like that. All the high-level officials of Konoha were stunned. They couldn't believe their eyes at all. They thought they were dreaming for a while. Anbu spokesperson was shocked. Is that shadow clone just now? Isn't Yi Fan unable to practice ninjutsu? What happened just now? Nara Shikaku swallowed a mouthful of saliva and said weakly. That doesn't seem to be a shadow clone technique. It seems to be because his speed was so fast that our eyes didn't react and left an afterimage in place. Afterimage. It's actually an afterimage. The spokesperson of the Country of Fire was trembling all over. How fast does he have to be to leave an afterimage on the ground? Yi Fan's speed has completely exceeded his imagination. He has never heard of anyone in the ninja world who can be as fast as this. He thinks that even if Reikage from Union Village is here, his speed is not even 1/3 as fast as Yi Fan. Rather than being an afterimage, he is more willing to believe that Yi Fan can also practice ninjutsu, that is shadow clone. The moment Yi Fan took action, Danzo could clearly see it. Obviously, he was also frightened by the speed shown by Yi Fan. Even he has never seen anyone who can move so fast that it leaves an afterimage on the spot. Even the original second Hokage couldn't reach this level. In an instant, Danzo understood something. It seems that the people he sent to assassinate Yi Fan were not killed by Anbu's people. Looking at it like this, it is very likely that Yi Fan killed it himself. The Uchiha tribesmen with this kind of speed, such strength, and hostility to the village are too dangerous. I have to get rid of him. No matter what the cost, I have to get rid of him. Danzo secretly made a decision in his heart. The stronger Yi Fan shows, the stronger Danzo's determination to eradicate Yi Fan becomes. He absolutely cannot tolerate such a time bomb hanging above the head of Konoha village. Mitoman Yan, right, you're trying to kill me with your worthless bones. Don't say you can't do it now, so what if you're at your peak? In front of me, you will always be nothing but trash. Garbage should stay in the garbage dump. Yi Fan's foot stepped on Mito Menyon's chest gradually harder, blood continued to flow from the corners of his mouth, and his breath became dying. Yi Fan, stop. Upon seeing this, the third Hokage was worried that Yi Fan would kill Mito Menyon, so he quickly went to stop him. However, the third Hokage was already in his final years, and now he was seriously injured. How could he catch up? When Yi Fan's slightly stronger foot was about to step on Mito Menyon's chest again, Nara Shikaku used the shadow imitation technique to restrain Yi Fan. Is this what it feels like to be bound by the shadow imitation technique? Yi Fan looked at Nara Shikaku, who was sweating profusely and using all his strength to perform ninjutsu. Phew. The third Hokage breathed a sigh of relief. Shadow imitation technique is an extremely powerful control-type ninjutsu. As long as there is sufficient chakra, even genin can lock Jonin firmly. Yi Fan, you can't kill him. If you kill him, it will bring a very heavy blow to Konoha. The consequences will even be far greater than this invasion. Nara was sweating profusely and gritted his teeth. He felt that just controlling Yi Fan consumed a lot of chakra. This was a situation he had never encountered before. Yi Fan, Mito Gate Flame is as important to us in Konoha as it is to him. The consequences of killing him will be disastrous. Third Hokage said. Oh, really? Why do I feel that Konoha village will be better without these old guys? The corners of Yi Fan's mouth raised, and the feet raised in the air slowly fell. Nara Luju was shocked. He felt that he couldn't control Yi Fan at all. His power was not at the same level as Yi Fan. Third Hokage-sama, I can't hold on anymore. Nara Shikaku kept pouring chakra, and he was almost exhausted in the blink of an eye. Yi Fan, stop it. Earth style wall. Water style water prison technique. The representatives of Third Hokage and Anbu took action at the same time to stop Yi Fan. A wall of earth rose from the ground to block Mito Monoyan's body. Water style turned into sticks and placed them on Yi Fan, trying to block his actions. In the Hokage room, except for Danzo, everyone who could take action took action. Danzo looked at this scene. Not only was he not worried at all, but he also hoped that Yi Fan would kill Mito Menyon and Kaharu. If the two of them die and the third Hokage dies as well, he only needs to kill Yi Fan, and Konoha can become his only Yiyantang. Yi Fan glanced at the ninjutsu greeting him, not even a little bit interested. In his opinion, ninjutsu at this level is really weak. Yi Fan exerted a little force, and all the ninjutsu was resolved in an instant. Click. Mark's feet were directed towards Mito Menyon's chest, as promised. The moment they hit each other, Mitomen's ribs were all shattered. Puff. The strong impact and severe pain caused Mito Menyon to spit out a large mouthful of blood. He coughed a few times and then fainted and fell unconscious. The third Hokage rushed to Mito Kabuto and quickly put his fingers on Mito Kabuto's neck. Fortunately, I still have energy. After learning that Mito Manabu was not dead, all the Konoha senior officials in the Hokage room felt their hearts drop. Nara Shikaku was so exhausted that he collapsed directly to the ground. The shadow imitation technique just now almost consumed all the chakra in his body. It's too strong. He's such a troublesome guy. He and I are not at the same level at all. There's no way to compare. It's too dangerous. If he has murderous intentions towards me, I will probably be killed by him instantly. Looking through the tube, we can see Madara, and Anbu's spokesperson also sweated a lot. Although it was only a short round of fighting, he could clearly realize how big the gap between himself and Mark was. Yi Fan glanced at Mito Manito, who was lying unconscious on the ground, kicked him to the base of the wall, and then walked to Kaharu to sleep with a calm expression. Old woman, Lousy asked a good question, but you came to disturb me. I originally planned to let you jump around for a while. Since your partner has received the whole chopped ribs package, you should also have one. As he spoke, Yi Fan raised his foot and stepped on the chest of Kaharu, who was sleeping. Yi Fan, stop it. She can't stand this kind of torture anymore. If you kick her, she will definitely die. The third Hokage shouted anxiously, but there was nothing he could do to stop it. At this moment, the eyes of Konoha's top brass all turned to Kaharu, who was sleeping. Worry was written on their cheeks, and the spokesperson of the Fire Nation even covered his eyes, not daring to look at this scene. Yi Fan, stop. Just as Yi Fan lifted his feet, a familiar voice came to his ears. Then, Jiraiya, who had long white hair, slowly walked into the Hokage room. Like Yi Fan, he also climbed in from the window. When Yi Fan saw Jiraiya coming in, he sighed and put away his fallen feet. In fact, he had long sensed that Jiraiya was following him, but he just pretended not to know. A long time ago, Yi Fan discovered the first function of qi in the body, which is perception. He discovered that as long as a person has chakra in his body, no matter how he hides, as long as he is within the range of his qi perception, he will be unable to hide. In other words, in this world, it is impossible for anyone to sneak up on Yi Fan. No matter how exquisite the hiding method is, as long as there is chakra flowing in the body, it will be like taking off all the clothes. Jiraiya-sama, you are here. If you had come later, the Hokage room would have been demolished. The spokesperson of the Fire Nation said aggrievedly. Nara Shikaku finally felt at ease when he saw Jiraiya's figure. He seriously doubted that Mark's strength had almost caught up with Jiraiya. At this time, all the worries on Third Hokage's face disappeared. He believed that as long as Jiraiya was here, Mark would never do anything random. Jiraiya, what are you doing here? Aren't you over there to clean up the mess? Yi Fan rolled his eyes and asked knowingly. Jiraiya had lived with Yi Fan for 10 years, so he naturally understood what he meant. You fool, master doesn't even say a word. Jiraiya comes up and comes down every day. Jiraiya punched Mark on the head and cursed. Everyone looked at this scene, their mouths twitching, and they silently gave Jiraiya a thumbs up. The ruthless man who left them helpless was actually beaten like this. The key was that he didn't fight back, which made them envious. Jiraiya, it hurts. Believe it or not, I will beat you. You brat, don't you know how to call me master? Jiraiya raised his fist again. Okay, I won't argue with you anymore. The senior officials of Konoha looked at this pair of living treasures and seriously doubted whether the person who had just overwhelmed them was actually him. After Yi Fan received a few more punches, he sat back on the chair, still looking carefree. But the difference between this time and the last time is that no one here dared to look down on him. Danzo stared deeply at Jiraiya and Mark. The relationship between the two of them was somewhat beyond his imagination. Dealing with only one Yi Fan gave him a headache. Coupled with Jiraiya, he was even more confused about where to start. You fool, what are you looking at? Do you also want to experience the all-bones shattering package beforehand? Yi Fan pointed at Danzo's face and spoke in a calm tone, as if defeating Danzo, a shadow-level powerhouse, was as simple as eating and drinking. What, you don't accept it? Don't think that if you transplant some Hashirama cells and put a few Sharingan in your hand, Lousy will be afraid of you. What? As soon as these words came out, everyone was shocked and stared at Danzo in disbelief. The amount of information in Yi Fan's words is really too great, it's simply explosive news. Danzo himself was beyond shocked. He couldn't believe that anyone knew his secret. You know, the group of people who helped him plant Hashirama cells had already been killed by him. It stands to reason that there is no way that any other person would know about this. Is what Yi Fan said true? It sounds like it might be true. The senior officials of Konoha whispered, and their eyes fell on the bandages on Danzo's body. What was hidden under the bandages made them very curious and surprised. If what Mark said is true, then it means that Danzo's strength is far beyond their imagination. Being able to have Hashirama cells and Sharingan at the same time means they know very well what it means. Jiraiya was also shocked when he heard these shocking words. He knew Yi Fan's character very well and would never lie. And now that Yi Fan has said this, it means that there must be a lot of Sharingan in Danzo. Jiraiya stared at Danzo and had to look at him again. Danzo's danger level greatly increased in his mind. He has always been particularly wary of Danzo, but now he has to be even more careful. Nara frowned and realized a very serious problem. The top brass of Konoha have long issued an order prohibiting research on Hashirama cells and Sharingan without the consent of all top brass. And when Danzo did this, he undoubtedly touched the bottom line of Konoha's senior officials. Danzo's acquisition of that level of power without permission broke the balance of combat power among the top brass. Based on this alone, they can doubt what Danzo's motives are. Facing everyone's gaze, Danzo's face was solemn, and he kept thinking about what went wrong, and such an important secret was leaked. Sharingan is his trump card and can save lives at critical moments. If a secret of this level has been leaked, or all other secrets also leaked. Before, when Yi Fan said that he had all the evidence, Danzo thought he was talking nonsense. But now it seems that Yi Fan does seem to have mastered a lot of things. This Yi Fan knows too many things. It seems that he must be eliminated as soon as possible. Danzo couldn't help but become a little anxious. He was worried that Mark would reveal a few more secrets about himself later. Shimura Danzo, please explain. Third Hokage's eyes were sharp. After hearing this, Danzo fell silent. Almost all the high-level officials of Konoha were here today, and he couldn't explain it. If Sarutobi Hiruzen was the only one, he could tell his purpose unabashedly. But today, not only the third Hokage was present, but also the spokesperson of the Fire Nation was present. If he tells the real reason, he will definitely be eradicated as a threat to the country. Even if the people from the Fire Country couldn't catch him, he was unwilling to give up the power he had worked so hard for many years. If someone from the Fire Nation issued a wanted order, it would mean that all the hard work he had put in over the years would be gone. When the third Hokage asked questions, the Fire Nation spokesperson was also staring at him, waiting for the answer. Although the spokesperson of the Fire Country didn't say anything, he was thinking about reporting the names of the Fire Country immediately after the meeting. He is not a fool, and he also knows that there cannot be a super strong person with wolfish ambitions and uncontrollable power in Konoha. Yi Fan observed the expression of the spokesperson of the Fire Nation and made a rough guess about his thoughts. Yi Fan couldn't help but smile slightly. His name in the land of laughing fire was so naive that he was simply living in a dream. At this point, I thought I was in control of Konoha, but little did I know that Konoha was no longer under the control of the Fire Nation. How can a country without sufficient strength control a powerful ninja village? Danzo was silent for a long time, and decided to wait until the meeting was over, send someone to kill the Fire Nation spokesperson immediately, and then blame other ninja villages. He didn't think that the third Hokage would fall out with the Fire Nation for him. After all, many matters in Konoha village still needed the Fire Nation's help. His secret cannot be known to the big names of the Fire Country for the time being, and the only way to do it is to kill the spokesperson of the Fire Country. I must become the Hokage of Konoha. Only in this way can I not be afraid of exposing some things. Danzo becomes more and more determined to become a Hokage even at any cost. If he were Hokage today, he would not be afraid that his Sharingan would be exposed. After all, which ninja doesn't want his cage to be stronger? But just because he is not Hokage, this matter is very difficult to handle. He is not a Hokage, but with this kind of power, he will definitely become a thorn in the eyes of other factions, especially the Hokage faction. Danzo, you are also a high-level official in Konoha. You should know that you cannot study Hashirama cells and Sharingan without unanimous vote, right? Don't you know why Orochimaru defected from the village in the first place? The third Hokage asked again. He had felt a little guilty before, and had always foolishly thought that Danzo had covered most of his body with bandages because of the serious injuries that could not be healed during the mission for the sake of the village. But now it seems that I have been guilty for nothing for so many years, because the injury on the mission was just a scam. Danzo is wearing so many bandages just to hide the Sharingan and Hashirama cells. The reason why I chose to do this is to protect Konoha. Danzo knew that he wanted to hide it, but he couldn't hide it anymore, so he chose to admit it openly. Third Hokage-sama, you also know the current situation of the ninja world. There are many powerful people in several big countries such as Union Village and Kurigakure Village, and the cages are in their prime and at the peak of their strength. And what about our village? You have entered your 70s, and your strength is far less than before. For this reason, every village is eyeing you and may invade Konoha at any time. If we don't have enough strength, how can we fight against the various ninja villages that are eyeing us, and how can we ensure the peace of Konoha? Danzo spoke plausibly and spoke righteously. All the high-level officials in Konoha had pale faces, but they didn't say anything. Danzo's strength and power were already deeply ingrained in Konoha, but now he was even more powerful, making them even more afraid. But Yi Fan couldn't stop laughing when he heard this. Danzo, you are really righteous. You keep saying you are for the peace of Konoha, but in fact you are a selfish villain who only pursues his own selfish desires. Whether you transplant Hashirama cells or transplant Sharingan, I don't want to make any comments on any of this. But, it's really shameful for me to behave in such a righteous manner even though you are clearly doing it for your own selfish desires. Whatever position you are in, do what you should do in that position. Don't daydream all day long and think about things beyond your abilities. Yi Fan leaned on the chair and spoke disdainfully. Listening to this, the senior officials of Konoha suddenly felt that Mark's appearance was so pleasing to the eye. Yi Fan said what they had buried deep in their hearts and hadn't said out for a long time. When Danzo heard these words, he felt completely different. His face was covered with black lines, and he suddenly became so gloomy that he could shed tears. Danzo slowly raised his eyelids, his fierce gaze fell on Mark, and his breath suddenly became extremely cold. The entire Hokage room was filled with murderous intent, making people feel extremely uncomfortable. The marginalized spokespersons of the Fire Nation all felt a strong sense of oppression. He could not imagine what kind of pressure Yi Fan, who was at the center of the vortex, faced. After Danzo took a deep look at Yi Fan, he slowly put away the chakra that overflowed with anger, and the murderous aura in the Hokage room also disappeared. Master Third Hokage, I'm leaving first. Since I have been dismissed, there is no point in staying here anymore. For a moment, Danzo almost couldn't help but take action, but in the end he endured it. The strength shown by Yi Fan is already a solid cage-level strength, but now there is Jiraiya next to him, which will be very disadvantageous if they fight. If they were separated one-on-one, Danzo would not be afraid of any of them, but if it was 1 against 2, the pressure would be much greater. Danzo has considered many situations, and if he really takes action, his vitality will be severely damaged. When the third Hokage saw that Danzo was about to leave, he seemed a little embarrassed and helpless. This situation has been reached today. If Danzo is let go like this, he will definitely let the tiger return to the mountain and cause serious trouble. If Danzo is not allowed to leave, serious conflicts will definitely occur. After learning Danzo's true strength, this matter became extremely difficult. If he really takes action, he has no confidence that he can keep Danzo. Third Hokage-sama. Nara looked at Danzo's leaving figure and shouted. He signaled to Third Hokage that Danzo must not be allowed to leave. If Danzo is allowed to leave, it will definitely cause turmoil in the entire Konoha. The third Hokage frowned, his indecisive character clearly revealed, and he was always unsure of his decision. Nara Luju reminded him again, indicating that with Jiraiya and Mark present, even if Danzo had extraordinary abilities, he would not be able to cause much trouble. However, the third Hokage had too many things to consider, and it was just that the flowers were getting more and more charming, and they still couldn't make up their minds. Seeing that Danzo had walked to the door, took another step forward, and was out of everyone's sight, the third Hokage still couldn't make a decision. Everyone present looked anxious. They all knew that if Danzo left, he would definitely recruit troops and forcefully seize the position of Hokage. But it just couldn't be stopped. Seeing Danzo about to step out of the door, everyone was already despairing. What it means after stepping out of that door is self-evident. Shimura Danzo, I don't think you can leave yet. When all the Konoha executives were in despair, Yi Fan's voice rang in their ears, like a beam of light in the boundless darkness, forcibly inserted. Yi Fan originally thought that since Jiraiya was present, he would at least give Third Hokage some face and not take over the host, waiting for Third Hokage to say this. But Danzo almost left immediately after waiting. Through this incident, Yi Fan roughly understood the true character of Third Hokage. Konoha has this kind of indecisiveness. People who are afraid of wolves and tigers are like Hokage. The Uchiha clan will not be able to survive unless they are wiped out. Danzo and the two senior consultants are not fuel-efficient lamps. With the fueling of these three people, Yi Fan can imagine many things. Shimura Danzo, what you have done, I have reason to suspect that you pose a great threat to the peace of Konoha. Now, on behalf of Konoha, I formally arrest you. While speaking, Jiraiya took a strong move, summoning the intestines and stomach of the giant toad Mount Myoboku with his psychic technique, sealing off the entire Hokage room. In an instant, the entire Hokage room was wrapped in red flesh walls, and the surroundings of Danzo were extremely corrosive. Nara Shikaku and the spokesperson of the Fire Nation breathed a sigh of relief and felt a lot relieved when they saw this. They would be unwilling to watch Danzo leave. The third Hokage looked at this scene and passively accepted the result. Yi Fan glanced at Jiraiya, who acted decisively without any hesitation, and thought to himself, in this era, people like Jiraiya are actually more suitable to be Hokage. If you are too hesitant, others will think you are easy to bully. Sometimes it is better to be stronger. Quote. In fact, one of Danzo's words is very correct. The situation of Konoha village at this time is indeed a bit embarrassing, and it does need a very powerful Hokage to take charge. The reason for today's situation is actually caused by the destruction of the Uchiha clan. After the destruction of the Uchiha clan, the number of powerful people in Konoha Hidden Village dropped sharply, and their status among the great powers almost dropped from the first place to the last. Jiraiya, when did it become your turn to call the shots in Konoha? Hokage hasn't spoken yet, and it's your turn to give orders. Danzo stood in the toad mouth restraint technique and spoke calmly, seemingly not taking the restraint technique seriously. Danzo, what Jiraiya means is what I mean. Just stay here for now. I will give you an explanation after the matter is investigated. The third Hokage saw that the deal was done and there was no room for maneuver anymore, so he spoke. Sarutobi Hiruzen, what crime have I committed? Everything I have done is for the peace of Konoha. At this moment, Danzo seemed to have completely forgotten that when Sand Hidden Village and Kusanagi Village invaded, he did nothing but watched pornographic things, and even felt a little aggrieved. It's not you who has the final say on what crime you committed, someone else will make the decision. Jiraiya clasped his hands together and formed a seal to control the toad's mouth binding technique. At the moment when the seal was formed, the flesh wall around Danzo slowly squirmed, suppressing it with thunderous force. Danzo felt something bad when he saw this, and hurriedly dodged and took out a kunai to resist. Danzo, I advise you not to waste your efforts. You can't escape from here. With extremely corrosive flesh walls, it quickly flew towards Danzo, and Danzo also felt the power of those flesh walls. He knew that he must not be caught by those flesh walls. If he was caught, the consequences would be disastrous. I have to leave here first. Fighting here is too bad for me. Danzo looked around, seeing walls of flesh everywhere, and there was no way he could avoid them. After dodging several flesh wall attacks with a backflip, Danzo quickly formed the seal, Wind Release Shuriken. A dozen shurikens with wind attribute chakra were running towards a wall of flesh. Boom, boom, boom. More than a dozen shurikens all fell into the same place. The shurikens added to some wind attribute chakra were so sharp that they shattered some flesh walls in the blink of an eye and tore a hole in the flesh walls. Danzo looked at the flesh wall where the opening was getting bigger and bigger, and said with a smile. Jiraiya, your barriers type ninjutsu is nothing more than that. When Jiraiya heard this, not only did he not panic, but the corners of his mouth rose. Looking at the smile on Jiraiya's lips, Danzo felt an ominous premonition and quickly ran towards the crack that was just big enough for someone to pass through. As soon as he stepped into the crack closed at an extremely fast speed. Danzo immediately realized that the cracks in the flesh wall were opened intentionally by Jiraiya, just to lure him in. A large amount of flesh walls quickly squeezed toward him, and some of them were already wrapped around his body. Where the flesh wall was wrapped, the clothes were instantly corroded, as if a pot of concentrated sulfuric acid had been poured on it. Not good. Danzo realized something was wrong. If he was completely wrapped by the flesh wall, he would no longer be able to resist. Seeing that the cracks in the flesh wall had completely healed, and that he was almost completely controlled, Danzo immediately used ninjutsu, Wind Release, Vacuum Wave. For a moment, the flesh wall was filled with a weasel-like aura. Jiraiya, who was controlling the flesh wall, frowned slightly. He felt as if his chakra had been cut off by something. Boom! The flesh wall without chakra support was exploded by Danzo's ninjutsu. Ha! Dot ha! Dot ha! Danzo, who had regained his freedom, was breathing heavily and was almost completely restrained. If it is completely wrapped by the flesh wall, you really have to use your trump card. Jiraiya, this ninjutsu of yours is really tricky. The bandage on Danzo's entire right arm has been corroded away, revealing an arm grown with Hashirama cells. He did exactly that. When everyone saw the arm grown from Hashirama's cells, although they had been prepared for it, they still couldn't help but be a little surprised. Wind escape vacuum continuous waves. Danzo knew that he couldn't delay for too long. The longer he delayed, the worse the situation would be for him. After the vacuum wave came out of his mouth, Danzo did not hesitate and used a ninjutsu again. This ninjutsu shocked the high-level officials of Konoha present, and even the third Hokage felt a little unbelievable. Wood-style violent gun tree. When using this ninjutsu, Danzo's right hand instantly turned into a very lethal tree, hitting the same flesh wall with successive waves of vacuum. Watching Danzo using wood style, Jiraiya felt something bad and quickly poured a large amount of chakra into the flesh wall. With the lesson learned from the previous time, Jiraiya was very serious. Boom. When Danzo's ninjutsu came into contact with the flesh wall, it produced a huge sound that was deafening. You're a little slow. Jiraiya had already felt that the flesh wall had been destroyed and quickly chased after him. Seeing this, Yi Fan sighed that Danzo was indeed a ninja with shadow-level strength, and his combat IQ should not be underestimated. Danzo knew that his ninjutsu alone could not destroy the hole that allowed him to escape from this place, so he used vacuum to cut off the chakra in advance, and then used wood style to destroy it. Wood style. Danzo actually possesses Shodai's blood inheritance limit. According to what Yi Fan said, Danzo also possesses the Sharingan, the blood successor limit of the Uchiha clan, so doesn't he have two extremely powerful blood successor limits at the same time? The senior officials of Konoha were still in shock, their minds going blank. Danzo's strength is probably beyond our imagination. Go and assist Jiraiya. The third Hokage shouted loudly, pulling them out of their shock. Nara Shikaku and the Fire Nation spokesperson immediately followed along with the third Hokage, while the Anbu spokesperson went to gather the rest of Anbu's people to prepare to completely control the route. Danzo escaped from the Toad's Mouth restraint technique, breathed the fresh air, looked at the blue sky, and felt that everything was so wonderful. That barriers, he never wanted to go in there for the second time in his life, it was so frightening. In an open space, Danzo, Jiraiya and Yi Fan stood apart from each other. The faces of Jiraiya and Danzo were very serious. Jiraiya, I must take your words seriously. You are much more difficult to deal with than that guy Sarutobi Hiruzen. Danzo didn't mention Mark's name, and unhurriedly untied the layers of seals on his right hand. Jiraiya looked at Danzo's movements and immediately understood. Are you going to use Sharingan? Although you are a bit ugly, you do have two brushes. It seems that I was underestimated by him. Yi Fan touched his chin, preparing to teach Danzo an unforgettable lesson. At the same time, third Hokage and Nara Shikaku also arrived here. As soon as they arrived here, they saw an unforgettable scene. I saw Yi Fan beside Jiraiya rushing towards Danzo at an extremely fast speed, leaving an afterimage on the spot just like in the Hokage room. Yi Fan, you are too young, this is a battle between me and Jiraiya. Danzo smiled disdainfully and stood motionless. He had been guarding against Yi Fan a long time ago. He knew that his speed could not keep up with Yi Fan, so he simply chose not to hide. In the process of escaping, Danzo had secretly used ninjutsu and wrapped his whole body with the wind attribute chakra knife, just to wait for Yi Fan to take the initiative to attack. Yi Fan, be careful. The moment he rushed out, Jiraiya felt a sudden burst of strong chakra fluctuations from Danzo's body, and he understood instantly. Come on, with such a fast speed, it's impossible for you to stop. Just wait for your body to be smashed to pieces by my wind attribute chakra knife. Humph, Danzo, you think too highly of yourself. Yi Fan snorted coldly. Not only did his speed not slow down, it actually became faster. Danzo's little trick couldn't hide Yi Fan's sense of chi. It is impossible for this level of power to harm Mark. Danzo, I want to see, you only have 11 Sharingans, how many times can Izanagi use them? Yi Fan reached Danzo's side in the blink of an eye and whispered in his ear. Immediately, Yi Fan raised his hand towards Danzo's face, which was a big dick. Danzo's body was immediately whipped away. Before he landed, Yi Fan caught up with him again and caught him with a combination of punches, which made him vomit blood and left him unable to fight back. As for the ninjutsu that Danzo secretly used in advance, it seems like a joke now. It can't stop Yi Fan at all, and it can't hurt Yi Fan at all. Yi Fan's speed is getting faster and faster, and the intensity of his blows is getting stronger and stronger. Every punch and kick landed on a bone. In just about half a second, Yi Fan gave Danzo one, and all the bones in his body were shattered into dregs. Boom! Danzo's body, like a puddle of mud, hit the ground and collapsed to the ground. Nara, Shikaku, and the spokesperson of the Fire Nation who watched this scene had no idea what was happening. Duan, what's wrong with Danzo? The spokesperson of the Fire Country was stunned on the spot, his whole body was trembling. Nara Lujo's body was also trembling. It seems like he was killed by Mark. Third Hokage and Jiraiya were also frightened by Mark's operation. Although Third Hokage has already seen Yi Fan's strength, the strength shown this time seems to be much stronger than when fighting Orochimaru. Yi Fan, is your strength really within the realm of what humans can achieve? Could it be that you are a god? The third Hokage froze in place, confused and overwhelmed by the wind. After being surprised, third Hokage and Nara quickly rushed to Danzo's side. Danzo's tragic situation made them unable to imagine what happened in just half a second. At this time, Danzo was lying on the ground like an animal without bones. He lay motionless on the ground and could only vaguely feel that he was still alive. Jiraiya took a deep look at Mark, filled with emotions. The milk baby who was only half a meter tall at the beginning has really grown up now. Even his teacher, who has lived with him for 10 years, cannot see through Yi Fan's strength. The breeze blew across his face, and a bright smile filled Jiraiya's lips. By now, he has basically determined that Yi Fan is the son of prophecy mentioned by Great Toad Sage. Yi Fan is the one who can lead the reform of the ninja world and truly bring peace to the ninja world. For so many years, I have traveled to many countries and thousands of mountains and rivers, just to find the person who can bring peace to the entire ninja world. I never thought that the people I would meet in the end would be people who walked out of our Konoha village. Jiraiya recalled the scene when he first met Mark. At that time, Yi Fan was only half a meter tall, and his voice was milky. But just such a child traveled through many extremely dangerous places to meet him. Jiraiya was extremely surprised when he met Mark for the first time and learned that he was from Konoha and was alone. He could not imagine how such a child could survive in a world full of death. At that time, Jiraiya dared to conclude that Yi Fan would never be a thing in the pool and would one day turn into a dragon. All kinds of memories came to his mind, and Jiraiya sighed, time flies so fast. The little brat back then is now able to stand alone. Perhaps, no, absolutely. Your future achievements will definitely surpass first Hokage-sama and become the next god of the ninja world. When the day comes that you can practice ninjutsu, you may be able to stand firmly on the top of the ninja world. I believe that the era when there is no war and people can truly understand each other will be realized by you. Jiraiya, was that move I just made cool? Wasn't it so cool? Yi Fan walked to Jiraiya who was in a daze and chuckled. When talking to Jiraiya, Yi Fan and Ganggong were two different people. There was no trace of indifference on their faces, but joy from the bottom of their hearts. Yes, he has the same demeanor as I did when I was young, but in terms of handsomeness, he is definitely not as handsome as I was when I was young. Hearing this, Yi Fan spread his hands and expressed helplessness. Yes, you were the most handsome when you were young. After a pause, he said with a bad smile, if you were so handsome when you were young, why are you an old man now and haven't found a wife yet? Ahem, I don't want to get married, but it's not like no one wants me. Women who like me can circle around the ninja world. Haha, could it be that you are so weak that you only drink from a spoonful? Is it because the person you like doesn't like you? What about Senju Tsunade, one of the Sannin? How about you marry her as your wife? If you marry her, I can consider calling you master. Quote. Yi Fan smiled evilly and said hee. You brat, what are you talking about? As soon as he mentioned Tsunade, Jiraiya slapped Mark on the back of the head. Why, don't you like Tsunade? If you don't like her, I will marry her. I can tell you in advance that I like people who are older than me and reliable. You brat, I think you are looking for death. Jiraiya picked up Mark and spanked him as hard as he did when he was a child. Nara Shikaku and the others looked at Danzo who was in a puddle of mud, and then at Yi Fan who was being spanked, and the corners of their mouths twitched. They felt that they really couldn't understand Yi Fan and couldn't guess what was in his mind. He is ruthless when fighting, like thousands of feet of ice beneath the surface. When he was with Jiraiya, he was like an ignorant little kid, unscrupulous. The strong contrast made them so confused that they couldn't tell which one was the real Mark. Third Hokage looked at Mark who was beaten by Jiraiya, with a smile on his lips. Such Yi Fan made all the worries in his heart disappear. He no longer worried that Yi Fan would have the idea of destroying Konoha. Immediately, the smile on Third Hokage's face gradually dimmed. If I had been tougher and more resolute, your parents might not have died, and you wouldn't have had to live in the criticism of others throughout your childhood. Looking at the man who was beaten but still smiling, Third Hokage thought of a child about his age. Naruto Uzumaki, you are just like Mark. Hiruzen Sarutobi, I'm sorry for you. As a Hokage, I am really incompetent at my job. Third Hokage's face was full of bitterness. He felt that for so many years, Konoha had not been managed well at all, and that he had failed to live up to second Hokage Senju Tobarama's dying trust. After Nara Shikaku and the spokesperson of the Fire Country recovered, they prepared to take Danzo back to Konoha and hand it over to Ibiki. But, just when they stretched out their hands, something unexpected happened. A violent burst of chakra suddenly bloomed from Danzo's hand and spurted out. That chakra has an indescribable aura, like life and prosperity, and then quickly withers away. Feeling this extremely strange chakra, Jiraiya, who beat Yi Fan, finally stopped. The third Hokage also came out of the deep self-blame and stared at Danzo closely. Quickly retreat. Nara Shikaku noticed something was wrong and quickly pulled the spokesperson of the Fire Country away from the place. A flash of white light flashed, and Danzo, who was unharmed and with peak aura, stood in everyone's sight again. When everyone saw the intact Danzo, their expressions changed drastically, and they didn't know what happened for a moment. How is this possible? Hasn't he been beaten to pieces by Mark? The spokesperson of the Fire Nation, his eyes were dull and his mind was shaken. The faces of the other people were not good looking either, and they were all surprised. The third Hokage and Jiraiya stared at Danzo, frowning. Third Hokage first thought of the reason and blurted out in surprise, Izanagi, you actually mastered the Uchiha clan's forbidden art, Izanagi. Izanagi, the legendary forbidden art that can turn things around and convert all the damage received into dreams. Nara Shikaku was shocked. Jiraiya's expression also became very solemn. He had heard of this ninjutsu, but he didn't know that much about it. I saw it for the first time today, and I felt more serious than ever. To activate Izanagi, it seems that it requires the cooperation of the Uchiha bloodline and the cost of blindness. Why can Danzo also use it? Jiraiya frowned. Is it because of the Shodai cells that he also gained the ability to use Izanagi? Yes, that should be the reason. Lord Hashirama's cells have very strong vitality. It should be this reason that can support Izanagi's activation. Third Hokage analyzed in a deep voice. They stared at the seal in Danzo's hand with solemn expressions. By now they have determined that there is definitely more than one Sharingan planted under the seal on Danzo's right hand, and the number is probably not too small. The third Hokage's eyes were cold, thinking that when the Uchiha clan was destroyed, many corpses had no eyes. I thought it was taken away by Uchiha Itachi, but unexpectedly it was taken away by Danzo. Yi Fan, Jiraiya, third Hokage, Nara Shikaku, and the spokesperson of the Fire Nation stood side by side, separated from Danzo by the sky. No one on either side acted rashly, including Yi Fan. Yi Fan did not choose to take action immediately because he knew that Danzo would be invincible for 1 minute after activating Izanagi. Within this minute, no matter what kind of damage he suffers, it will be transformed into a dream. Danzo stared at Yi Fan, the shock in his heart beyond words. He found that Yi Fan knew too many secrets about himself. Not only did he know that he had planted Hashirama cells and Sharingan, but he also knew the forbidden technique Izanagi and the number of Sharingan he had. Danzo suddenly discovered a problem. He didn't seem to have any secrets for Mark. Yi Fan, who are you? Why do you know so many secrets? Danzo was puzzled and couldn't think of a reason even after racking his brain. Only he should know these things. Besides, Yi Fan should have been with Jiraiya all the time. Where did he get this information from? Yi Fan, is it possible that you are the reincarnation of a god? Otherwise, how could you know so many of my secrets? Compared with these, the most incredible thing for him was Yi Fan's strength. Yi Fan is just a boy of 13 or 14 years old. It stands to reason that no matter how talented he is, he cannot have this level of power. But, I just have it. He has seen a lot of the geniuses of the Uchiha family. For example, Uchiha Shisui, Uchiha Itachi, they are all geniuses among the Uchiha clan. But compared with Yi Fan, it seems so worthless. At the same age, Yi Fan's strength has surpassed them by far. Moreover, the most incredible thing to him was that Uchiha Shisui and the others were able to possess that kind of strength. Many reasons were due to the existence of Sharingan. But Yi Fan just relied on his own body and did not rely on any blood inheritance limit at all. After a short fight, Danzo has realized the gap between himself and Yi-Fan. He can't beat Yi-Fan no matter what. Even if all the Sharingan in him is exhausted, he still cannot be Yi-Fan's opponent. Danzo's mind was running rapidly, thinking of countermeasures. For today's plan, there is only one way. Danzo decides to use Genjutsu, Distinguished Heavenly Gods. Danzo stared closely at Mark and Jiraiya. Among all the people present, they were the two that he feared the most. Originally it was Jiraiya, but now it is Yi-Fan. Facing Jiraiya, he was still sure of winning, but against Mark, he had no chance of winning. The role of the Distinguished Heavenly Gods is to protect Konoha with all their heart and never betray them. It seems that if I want to use this Genjutsu to control Yi-Fan, I have to become a Hokage. Danzo groaned, took out a signal bomb, and fired it into the sky. As early as when Sunagakur Village and Sound Ninja Village invaded Konoha, Danzo secretly gathered all his forces. It was originally planned to lead those subordinates to gain political power in one fell swoop when Konoha's vitality was severely weakened, but unexpectedly it was used in this way. Colorful fireworks suddenly exploded, and all Danzo's men in Konoha village received the signal and immediately took action. The Konoha village was in chaos for a while, and riots broke out in various places. Danzo's men who had been trapping him for many years were all mobilized and appeared in every corner of the village. The route that was just running away also started to fight back at this moment. Many ninjas suddenly emerged from various unexpected places, and they were all very powerful. Anbu's people, as well as all the Jonin in Konoha, were defeated steadily for a while. Various large psychic beasts also continued to appear in the village, slaughtering Konoha ninjas. As this, Danzo launching a coup. Kakashi stood by the windowsill and watched all this, his face extremely solemn. His intuition told him that the impact of this coup would be far greater than the invasion of Sand Hidden Village and Sound Ninja Village. If not handled properly, blood would flow like a river. Kakashi, that old guy. Danzo launched a coup. There was a rapid knock on the door, and Metkai appeared at the door. Yes, I understand. How is the situation with the Hyuga clan? Kakashi scratched his forehead, revealing the blood-red 3 Magatama Sharingan, and there was no trace of laziness on his face. The territory of the Hyuga clan is surrounded by a large number of people, and they are now fighting against the rebels. Metkai said. Kakashi thought for a moment and then made a decision immediately, saying, "Let's go first to help the Hyuga clan break out of the siege. There are too many rebels, and the Hyuga clan is the only card we have." Metkai nodded upon hearing this, and immediately ran towards the Hyuga clan with Kakashi. Naruto, who was building a house with Tenzo, also discovered this and quickly turned around and shouted. "Pervy Sage, something big happened in the village. Naruto, watch out for Gaara and the others, don't let them escape." As soon as he finished speaking, Jiraiya's shadow clone left the place and appeared 100 meters away when they met again. When Gaara and the others saw Jiraiya leaving and looked at the smoke-filled Konoha, they immediately realized that this was their only chance to escape. Previously, when Jiraiya was here, they couldn't find any chance at all, but now that Jiraiya and Tenzo have left, it means that the opportunity has come. Looking at Jiraiya's leaving figure, Naruto realized the seriousness of this incident. Although he also wanted to help, he knew that he had more important tasks. Gaara and the others are the main culprits of the invasion of Konoha, he must keep an eye on them. Multiple shadow clone techniques. Without any hesitation, Naruto created 9 clones and stood in different places, guarding Gaara and the others. Gaara and Temari looked at each other with an evil smile on their faces. This level of ninjutsu is simply too childish for him. The gourd behind Gaara gradually opened, and a wisp of yellow sand slowly overflowed and flew towards Naruto's body. In the Hokage room, Orochimaru stood by the windowsill, watching all this with an expressionless face. The seal on his body has been completely lifted, and his strength has long been restored. Danzo, this old guy, has been planning for so many years. Has he finally taken action? The corners of Orochimaru's mouth raised, revealing a smile. He didn't intend to escape, but instead pulled up a chair and sat down, supporting his head with one hand and watching the show. He who once wanted to destroy Konoha suddenly didn't feel much after watching this scene. Now, he has found something more interesting and has redefined the meaning of his life. Ever since Danzo launched the fireworks, the third Hokage and the others saw smoke rising all over the village, with worries written all over their faces. Third Hokage-sama, you go back to suppress the rebels first. Just leave this place to me. Jiraiya said. Jiraiya, be careful. The third Hokage nodded, waved to Nara and Shikaku, and prepared to leave. Danzo laughed when he saw this. Sarutobi Hiruzen, if you leave, how can I still be a Hokage? Wood-style burial of tree roots. Danzo's right hand instantly turned into a towering tree, covering everyone present and blocking the third Hokage's path. The raging chakra surged inside the tree, bringing an extremely oppressive and terrifying atmosphere. No, Danzo is preparing to self-destruct. Jiraiya yelled, and quickly formed a seal to perform ninjutsu, needle jizo. In an instant, Jiraiya's long hair quickly grew longer, wrapping around everyone present. At the same time, the third Hokage and the others also showed off their special abilities and used defensive ninjutsu to wrap around. Ha ha ha, it's useless. You ninjutsu's defenses can't stop my attack. This ninjutsu of mine is equivalent to my self-destruction. Danzo laughed endlessly, looking at the third Hokage and Nara Shikaku as if looking at a cold corpse. Even he himself didn't know how powerful his move was. But he dared to conclude that even if this move could not kill Jiraiya, it would still be more than enough to kill the seriously injured third Hokage. As for blowing up Yi-Fan, he had never even thought about it. The strength shown by Yi-Fan is completely impossible to kill. Boom! A mushroom cloud slowly rose with a loud noise. The towering tree that enveloped everyone exploded suddenly, and the strong aftermath spread hundreds of meters away, shattering numerous houses. The center of the explosion was even more horrific. A large black pit appeared out of thin air, filled with pungent and choking black smoke, and flying sand and rocks. Yi-Fan, use it for me. Hiruzen, don't worry, I will build a big tomb for you, and I will write it down in history word for your contribution to Konoha. Quote. Danzo, who was blown to pieces, slowly recovered and stood unscathed in the billowing smoke, laughing maniacally. He could no longer feel Sarutobi Hiruzen's chakra around him. 60 seconds is just right. Not a second too long, not a second too little. This Sharingan is a good deal. Danzo looked for him in the thick smoke with a smile on his face. Uchiha Yi-Fan, let me see where you are. After searching for 3 or 4 seconds, until the smoke completely dissipated, he could not find any trace of mark, not even the bodies of Sarutobi Hiruzen and the others. Seeing nothing but a big pit in front of him, Danzo had an ominous premonition. Are you looking for me? Suddenly, a slightly childish voice sounded in his ears, and he could still feel a breath of hot air blowing his hair. Not good. Danzo broke into cold sweat, his pupils suddenly shrank, and the hairs all over his body stood up. The moment the voice sounded, Danzo immediately used Izanagi without any hesitation. As soon as Izanagi activated, Danzo saw a hand pass through his chest from his back. Moreover, that hand still held half of an unbroken heart. Danzo turned around and saw that it was Yi-Fan. Looking at Yi-Fan gouging Mubo's face, a trace of fear arose in Danzo's heart. He really couldn't believe that Yi-Fan was still unscathed after being hit by such a powerful ninjutsu. The response has been good. Yi-Fan glanced at the heart gradually dissipating in his hand and smiled slightly. He understood that this was Danzo launching Izanagi again. Ha! 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 On the other side of the pit, Danzo, who had transformed everything into a dream again, was breathing heavily. Danzo stared at 100 meters behind Mark in shock, the muscles on his face kept twitching. Looking at the third Hokage people who were all unharmed like Yi-Fan, Danzo gritted his teeth. Did Yi-Fan save them? His speed is too outrageous, isn't it? It can actually exceed the shock wave generated by the explosion. Danzo was surprised, but the third Hokage and the others were even more surprised. Until now, they still haven't reacted to what happened. The moment the explosion occurred, they felt as if they were flying. Jiraiya glanced at his slightly singed hair and was shocked. Immediately, a surprised smile appeared on his face. Isn't this brat Yi-Fan capable of practicing ninjutsu? Also, it seems that he is practicing flying ninjutsu, which I have never seen before. The moment before the big tree exploded completely, he remembered very clearly that Yi-Fan flew out with them. Yi-Fan had his back to third Hokage and the others, his long, messy hair dancing in the wind. Third Hokage-sama, the first person who told me that I was the god of plague was Shimura Danzo, right? Yi Fan's tone was extremely calm, so calm that it was scary. The extremely cold murderous aura also spread towards the surroundings with him as the center. Wherever the murderous aura spreads, everything seems to lose its color. Feeling this kind of aura that he had never felt before, Third Hokage was stunned for a moment, and his mind went blank. As Yi Fan asked again, Third Hokage came to his senses and answered tremblingly. It's true that he, Mito Katoin, Kaharu and others came up with that method after Danzo told them. After saying that, Third Hokage realized what he had just done, and he quickly wanted to speak again, to excuse Mito Kato and the others, and to take all the responsibility on himself. Ha ha, Yi Fan sneered. Master Third Hokage, you don't have to take responsibility for yourself, you will also pay the price for what you did in the first place. Jiraiya, take them away and go back to suppress the rebellious officials and traitors in Konoha. If it takes too long, many innocent people will be killed in this coup. Jiraiya sighed, not having time to think about what happened next. He knew that what Yi Fan said was very correct. If they kept spending time here, there would definitely be unimaginable consequences. In addition to ninjas, there are also many ordinary people living in Konoha village. For ordinary people, a coup of this level is tantamount to a disaster, and they will be unable to resist for a long time. Third Hokage-sama, let's go. Jiraiya said. The third Hokage took one last look at Danzo, his former companion, and left first. On the way back to the village, Third Hokage felt mixed emotions. He knew that Danzo would definitely not escape death this time. However, he had no time to think about this. For him now, suppressing the rebellion in the village was the most important thing. Danzo watched the third Hokage and the others leave, knowing that his plan had completely failed. However, he was powerless and had no way to stop it. Yi Fan's power really made him feel desperate. He, who has always claimed to be the strongest in Konoha, feels that he is no different from a 3-year-old child in front of Mark. Those ninjutsu that he was proud of seemed to be useless when facing Yi Fan. I, like a clown, kept jumping around, but it was just a joke. After spending countless energy and efforts, the Hashirama cells cultivated and the Sharingan obtained also lost their former glory in front of Yi Fan. Danzo stared at Yi Fan, as if he was facing a god, helpless. No matter what method he used, he could not shake the young man in front of him. Izanagi can still be used 9 times, I must escape from his hands. There are still many things waiting for me to do, if I can't fall here. Danzo kept thinking about countermeasures. At this time, he no longer expected to defeat Yi Fan, he just wanted to escape from his hands. Danzo quickly untied the bandage wrapped around his head, hoping to use Genjutsu Distinguished Heavenly Gods to control Yi Fan. He thought for a moment, the role of the Distinguished Heavenly Gods is to protect Konoha, and today Konoha is not just in the hands of the third Hokage. Perhaps, Distinguished Heavenly Gods can really affect Yi Fan, and at the worst, it can buy some time for his escape. Yi Fan slowly walked towards Danzo, the aura on his body became colder and colder, and the surrounding environment instantly turned into a world of ice sculptures. Shimura Danzo, no matter how you fight for power among the so-called high-level officials of Konoha, I can't control it, and I don't want to control it. But why do you insist on saying that I am the god of plague? Actually, I don't care whether it's the gossip of the Uchiha tribe or the discussions behind the scenes of other people in the village. But, because of this incident, my parents paid the price with their lives. This is something I cannot forgive. In the past, I was unable to protect my parents, causing them to die for me. Today, I will collect the first interest payment for them before they are resurrected. As soon as he finished speaking, Yi Fan's figure suddenly appeared in front of Tuan Zhang, raising his hand towards his head, it was like a big hammer. Boom! The moment Kabuto touched Danzo's mind exploded like a watermelon. The hot blood dyed the ground turned into ice sculptures red. Yi Fan didn't stop, and kicked Danzo's chest again with his backhand. The powerful force suddenly exploded Danzo's body into a mist of blood. The surrounding earth also tore apart at this moment, forming bottomless abyss. Cough cough cough. Danzo, who turned all this into a dream, spoke on the other side, coughing non-stop. Every time I coughed, I vomited blood. Cough cough cough. How is this possible? I am clearly still within the range of using Izanagi, why am I still injured? Danzo felt the blood surging in his body and was shocked, his face suddenly turned pale and weak. Izanagi was able to convert all the injuries he received into forbidden magic in dreams, but he was still injured now. This incident made Danzo feel a little bad. It seemed that even with Izanagi's blessing, he still couldn't stop Mark. Ninja technique, psychic technique. Danzo summoned a very large psychic beast, the Dream Taper. Mangji's eyes were red, and he stared at Yifan with teeth and claws. He seemed to be connected with Danzo, knowing that Danzo was beaten so hard by the young man in front of him that he could not hold his head up. Wind escape vacuum continuous waves. Danzo cooperated with Yumi Taper and unleashed a ninjutsu with powerful destructive power. Ha, what a small trick. Yifan stood motionless on the spot, without any intention of hiding, and allowed the vacuum to sweep in waves. Just as the vacuum waves were about to touch Yifan's body, they were suddenly shattered by a more powerful force and disappeared between the heaven and the earth. This, what the hell is this? Danzo's eyes widened, staring at the yellow light surrounding Mark's body. He felt extraordinary power from the light emanating from Yifan. This kind of power does not belong to chakra. It seems that both the level and the power contained are many times greater than chakra. God, is this the power that gods have? Danzo's limbs were weak, his whole body was trembling, and he was almost scared out of his wits. The aura exuding from Yifan suppressed Danzo from the depths of his soul. At a certain moment, Danzo suddenly felt that whatever Izanagi or Sharingan was, it was all bullshit under this level of power. God, Yifan heard this, paused and said, for you, and for the entire ninja world, I am indeed a true god. Boom, Yifan's body disappeared in place, and when he saw it clearly, he had already punched Danzo's psychic beast. The Dream Taper didn't even react before it turned into blood mist and sprinkled it on the frozen earth. Danzo was still immersed in surprise, and his body once again turned into blood mist. This time, when Yifan started, he added a little chi to his fist. Izanagi's power once again transformed everything into a dream. After Danzo was resurrected, he found that although his body had completely recovered, there seemed to be no trace of scars. However, there was no reaction in his hands, and there were bursts of heartbreaking pain. That kind of pain, different from physical injuries and bleeding, was something he had never felt before. Haha, it seems that the legendary Izanagi is not that powerful after all. In addition to being able to recover physical injuries, it seems that it can't recover injuries to the soul. Danzang was shocked when he heard this. He was not a fool and naturally understood what Yifan was talking about. You can actually start from the soul and cut off my arms. The severe pain made Danzo sweat profusely, and even his facial features were twisted together, looking extremely ferocious, like a monster. At the same time, Danzo also realized something. Since Yifan can cut off his own arm, doesn't he also have a way to cut off his head? Danzo reacted and realized that he was being played by Mark. In fact, Yifan has always had the ability to kill himself, but he just didn't use it. Thinking of this, endless fear suddenly surged into my heart. Whether it was Mark's strength or his methods, Danzo felt extremely frightened. He never imagined that he, who had always made others afraid, would actually feel fear and despair from a young boy today. Shimura Danzo, feel the pain, feel the fear. I will slice your soul into pieces piece by piece, so that you can see it with your own eyes but can do nothing. With a click, Danzo felt like he had lost all feeling in his legs. Section after section of pain stimulated his nerves, making him miserable. As just said, Yifan used chi to cut Danzo's soul's legs into pieces. The heartbreaking pain made Danzo faint again and again. But under the influence of Izanagi, Danzo woke up again and again after fainting. Faint from pain, wake up, faint from pain, wake up. Danzo has been in this state, in a constant cycle, and he truly understands what it means to be unable to survive and unable to survive. At this moment, Danzo hated Izanagi extremely. He never wanted to experience this kind of pain again. He just wanted to die quickly now. After Yifan chopped into pieces the limbs of Danzo's soul, he continued to cut into Danzo's upper body. Puff! Danzo spat out a mouthful of old blood, his eyes filled with despair. This level of pain is far more tortuous than being cut into pieces by 1,000 cuts. Distinguished heavenly gods. Danzo endured intense pain and forcibly activated the Sharingan that once belonged to Uchiha Shisui. Suddenly, Sharingan was filled with dazzling light. Yi Fan had already taken precautions against this, and instantly burst out the energy in his body, covering his body 360 degrees without any blind spots. When he was 3 years old, he used this method to defend against Uchiha Itachi's genjutsu, so Yi Fan dared to be so confident. Otherwise, no one would dare to be as scornful as Yi Fan when faced with this kind of pupil technique that can control the brain and change thoughts in an instant. The energy that exploded from Yi Fan's body instantly dispelled the genjutsu distinguished heavenly gods and spread in all directions. The entire Konoha was constantly shaking under Yi Fan's breath, and everyone who felt this power was filled with endless fear. They can personally feel the gap between themselves and this power. Under this level of power, they have no idea of resistance at all. The 100 meters around Yi Fan, except for the piece of ground he stepped on, turned into a bottomless pit. This is the result of Yi Fan quickly controlling his breath after dispelling the distinguished heavenly gods. If Yi Fan didn't deliberately control it, the moment the energy in his body exploded completely, it would be enough to destroy the entire planet. Yi Fan glanced around and sensed it with his breath. Danzo's breath had long since disappeared. Danzo has already turned into dust and disappeared between heaven and earth, and will never reappear again. The first interest has been recovered, it's time to settle other accounts. Yi Fan moved and appeared on the Hokage Rock in Konoha. In Konoha, where gunfire is everywhere, the rebellion has come to an end. As Jiraiya and the third Hokage joined the battlefield, Konoha's morale was greatly shaken. With the help of Kakashi and Metkai, the Hyuga clan broke out of the siege and defeated the rebels. As the Hyuga clan broke out of the siege and rushed to all sides, the war situation was completely stabilized. On the Hokage Rock, Yi Fan was paying attention to the battle that was about to end soon. Seeing Jiraiya killing everyone, punching one Jonin at a time, Yi Fan smiled. Yi Fan vaguely remembered that when Jiraiya was fighting Pain Six Paths, he said that he was no longer a simple human being. Judging from the strength he showed, his strength has indeed surpassed that of the 99 ninjas in the current ninja world, and this is still without turning on Sage mode. Yi Fan felt that if Jiraiya had information about Pain's Six Paths and knew their secrets, he might be able to clear Pain's Six Paths alone. The battle in Konoha gradually came to an end, and Yi Fan's figure reappeared in the Hokage room. Yi Fan and Orochimaru sat side by side, very close to each other, like a pair of old friends who have a very close relationship. "Did Danzo die in your hands?" Orochimaru asked in a calm tone, as if making a routine. "Well, he was too weak, and he fell down before I even exerted any force." Yi Fan looked into the distance, wondering where his mind was flying. "Have you ever thought about a question, is it possible that he faked his death? Because he knew he was no match for you, he deliberately used death to deceive you," Orochimaru said. Orochimaru actually knew about Danzo's Sharingan. He was one of the people Danzo approached to study Hashirama cells and Sharingan. At the beginning, he used the method of cheating to die to get out of that incident. Of course, this is not because Orochimaru feels that he is not Danzo's opponent, but because Orochimaru wants to reduce some trouble. After all, if Danzo knew that one of the people studying Hashirama's cells was Orochimaru, he would definitely send many people to harass him. The reason why Orochimaru said this is because he has also studied many ancient books about Sharingan and knows many secrets of Sharingan. "Are you talking about Izanagi? As long as I think about that ninjutsu, it's impossible for someone like Danzo to activate it." Yi Fan's eyes were still looking into the distance, as if he was admiring the scenery of Konoha. Orochimaru was stunned for a moment when he heard this, and then he was relieved. Yi Fan was once a member of the Uchiha clan, and it seemed that knowing the forbidden technique of Izanagi was nothing unusual. Later, Orochimaru asked, "Yi Fan, don't you want to kill me? I once wanted to destroy Konoha." "Haha, haven't you destroyed Konoha yet? Wait until the day when you truly have the strength to destroy Konoha, then ask this question." "Haha, it seems you don't have the distinguished heavenly gods who are known as the strongest genjutsu at noon." Orochimaru looked at Yi Fan and became more and more greedy. Yi Fan's body is so perfect, it's almost tailor-made for him. Genjutsu is Orochimaru's shortcoming, the one he most wants to make up for. This shortcoming was only discovered after he was instantly spotted by Uchiha Itachi. He had always thought that he was not afraid of Genjutsu. And Yi Fan not only possesses unparalleled power, but also has the ability to not be afraid of Genjutsu, which is simply the existence he dreams of. Yi Fan turned his head and looked directly at the greedy Orochimaru, his face as calm as water, without any fluctuation. With your current strength, trying to take my body is simply wishful thinking. It would be easy for me to kill you. But, do you know why I don't kill you? Oh, why? You are so perfect, what can I do for you? Orochimaru licked his tongue and did not refute Mark's words. He knew that Yi Fan's words were indeed the truth, and it was easy to kill him. Mito Manabu, who had already woken up but was still pretending to be dizzy, and Kaharu, who had gone to bed, pricked up their ears and listened. The two of them were also very curious as to what medicine was being sold in Yi Fan's gourd. Yi Fan did not hide it, and answered directly, "Reincarnation in the Dirty Land, you are the only one in the ninja world who can be reincarnated in the Dirty Land. This is the reason why you can survive in my hands." Reincarnation in the dirt. Orochimaru didn't understand what Yi Fan meant for a while. After clarifying the context of the matter based on Yi Fan's life experience, Orochimaru figured it out. "Do you want to use me to resurrect your parents with this technique?" Orochimaru thought about it and felt that this was the only reason. Otherwise, ninjutsu and the like may have no meaning at all to Yi Fan. In the face of absolute power, everything seems so insignificant. And Yi Fan possesses this level of power. "Orochimaru, you are very smart," Yi Fan whispered, then shook his head and said. "However, your current reincarnation is so rubbish that it really can't be put on the stage. The filthy soil reincarnation I want is to be reincarnated into a filthy soil reincarnation that is not much different from the peak period. And there is no need to use the filthy soil of human sacrifice to reincarnate." Mark's words shocked Orochimaru. From between the lines of Yi Fan's words, he heard Yi Fan's understanding of the reincarnation of Dirty Land and the direction of improvement of this forbidden technique. "Why, can't you do it?" Yi Fan glanced at Orochimaru and said, "If you can't even do such a simple thing, you will never be able to take my body away. If you summon Senju Hashirama at his peak, you might be able to use him to defeat me." Hearing this, Orochimaru fell into deep thought, and what Yi Fan said seemed indeed very correct. It seems that, based on the current situation, he really only has a chance in this way. Based on the experience of the first reincarnation of Senju Hashirama, it is speculated that Senju Hashirama's strength at his peak was definitely far greater than when he was first summoned. "Orochimaru, I've given you the chance to take my body. It depends on whether you can grasp it. 1 year, I'll give you 1 year. If you still can't do it after 1 year, I will have to find someone else. You go, see you in a year. If you don't do it by then, there is no need for you to exist." Yi Fan waved his hand and continued to look into the distance. "Haha, Yi Fan, let's see you in a year." Orochimaru leaned against Mark, smelled his scent, and disappeared. Mito Manabu and Kaharu, who were lying on the floor pretending to be fainted, were frightened and their minds went blank. Although it was just a few words, it made them feel so shocked. Jiraiya, who had been on the roof for a long time, also heard their conversation and looked very serious. What Yi Fan asked Orochimaru to do may threaten the entire ninja world. Senju Hashirama's title as the god of ninja is not just talk. If Orochimaru can really control Senju Hashirama at his peak, coupled with his dangerous thoughts, it will undoubtedly be a disaster. "Yi Fan, have you really decided to do this?" Jiraiya's serious voice sounded, and a figure suddenly appeared next to Mark. "Orochimaru's thoughts are very dangerous. If we just let him go, once he has mastered that level of power, not only Konoha, but the entire ninja world may be destroyed. Maybe you don't know how strong Shodai is. At the beginning, even Nine Tails could only be regarded as a pet in front of Shodai." Jiraiya's face was solemn, he stared at Mark and spoke seriously. "Don't worry, Jiraiya, I have considered all situations. I just want to resurrect my parents. As for the rest, you don't have to worry at all. I'm confident that I can defeat First Hokage even at his peak." Yi Fan was also very serious and answered Jiraiya confidently. "Alas," Jiraiya sighed and said, Yi Fan, even if you can really fully control the development of the situation. But have you ever thought that death is like a light extinguishing? Even if Orochimaru is really reincarnated as a person close to the time he was alive, he will still be different. Hearing this, Yi Fan showed a confident smile on his face. Reincarnation in the dirt is only the first step. My goal is to resurrect them in the true sense. Hearing this, Jiraiya's expression was a little subtle and curious. Is there really such power in this world? The power to resurrect the dead? Forget it, let's not talk about it. Have you really decided on letting Orochimaru leave? Jiraiya asked seriously again. Yes, Yi Fan nodded and said seriously, I have made up my mind. If there are any consequences due to my mistakes, I will bear the full responsibility. Jiraiya laughed, patted Mark's shoulder hard, and said, in that case, let it go. I believe you. Also, even if something goes wrong then, you still have me, an old guy, and I will take care of it for you. Jiraiya looked at Yi Fan's face, which was a little immature, but seemed to be extremely vicissitudes of life, and he felt so much emotion in his heart. Unknowingly, his strength has surpassed his own. Yi Fan was a little moved after listening to Jiraiya's words. Although he knew this and that he would never fail, Jiraiya didn't know that. For Jiraiya, this is simply a big gamble, betting on the future of Konoha, and even the future of the entire ninja world, that Yi Fan will win. Yi Fan felt the temperature of Jiraiya's palm and silently made a decision. It was time to go find the Akatsuki organization. He must clear all obstacles for Jiraiya and cannot let Jiraiya die in the hands of Uzumaki Nagato. Uzumaki Nagato is someone that Yi Fan can never forgive. Yi Fan is not as generous as Naruto. His code of conduct has always been to repay kindness with kindness and revenge with hatred. As for the rest, don't talk nonsense. No matter what the reason is or what position you hold, as long as you hurt the people around you, you have to pay the price. In the previous life, Jiraiya's death was an eternal regret in Yi Fan's heart. In this life, he will never allow such a thing to happen. Suddenly, the sound of footsteps interrupted Yi Fan's thoughts, and third Hokage and Nara Shikaku walked in. The moment the three of them saw Mark, they instantly understood that Danzo was dead. At this moment, they looked at Yi Fan with complicated expressions. They were filled with emotion that a boy of 13 or 14 had such a powerful power. Nara Shikaku and the spokesperson of the Fire Nation felt that most of their lives had been in vain and they had been trained like dogs. It's really hard to compare people to each other, and you have to throw away goods when comparing goods. They stared at Yi Fan and were very envious of Yi Fan's talent. They wished they could have 1/10 of Yi Fan's talent. They believed that if they could have 1/10 of Yi Fan's talent, their strength would definitely be far greater than what they are now. In their eyes, Yi Fan's figure is like a rising star, unprecedented and unprecedented. They suddenly felt that even the ninja god who founded the village, Senju Hashirama, was probably not as perverted as Yi Fan when he was young. Yi Fan's strength has far exceeded their knowledge. Before this, they had never seen anyone like Yi Fan. Looking at Yi Fan, they felt that all those who were known as geniuses would look so lackluster in front of this man. As long as he is around, it seems that everyone is no longer a genius. In the past, I was blind and didn't realize that Yi Fan was a person with such a heaven-defying talent. I foolishly thought that he was just a waste with no blood inheritance limit. Now it seems that I am the loser. Nara Shikaku swallowed silently, his eyes dull. The face of the Fire Country spokesperson was also full of horror. Are you crazy? We actually called Yi Fan a waste before. If he is considered a waste, wouldn't we be dozens of hats away from being a waste? If he can serve Konoha, Konoha will definitely become the #1 in the ninja world. The status of the Fire Nation will also usher in an extraordinary surge. Maybe Konoha can return to the glory of the Shodai period. The third Hokage had a complicated look on his face and silently prayed for Danzo in his heart. The third Hokage has always been undecided about Danzo, his former companion. He had the idea of getting rid of Danzo a long time ago, but he has never implemented it. Nara Shikaku and the Fire Country spokesperson quickly came out of their shock. It was replaced by ecstasy. Danzo has always been a major worry for them, a worry that they can't do anything about. And Yi Fan solved the sharp blade hanging over Konoha's head for them, which surprised them very much. At this moment, several extremely fast voices disrupted their thoughts. Master Third Hokage, Yifan is a traitorous ninja. He let Orochimaru go. Send someone to capture him quickly. Master Third Hokage, Yifan is very dangerous. What he does may very well threaten the safety of Konoha. You must not stay. The same goes for Jiraiya, he may also become a traitorous ninja. He clearly knew that Orochimaru was a wanted target in the village, but he still allowed Yifan to leave. There is definitely a big problem. Jiraiya and his two masters and apprentices may have ulterior secrets when they return to Konoha this time. We can't let them go unnoticed. Mitomen and Kaharu suddenly opened their eyes and kept talking. Both the words were filled with hostility, and he wished he could capture Jiraiya and Mark immediately. When everyone heard this, they all took a deep breath and looked at the two of them in horror, with extremely complicated expressions. These two old guys, aren't they old fools? What did they say just now? Take down Yifan and Jiraiya. Nara Shikaku and the spokesperson of the Fire Nation looked at Mitomano and Kaharu as if they were fools. The third Hokage's face also became ugly in an instant. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.